The Lions. Real-life fantasy rugby. Bitter rivalries set aside in a quest to create the world's best team in weeks. There's nothing like it, but who on earth had the idea and how did it all begin? Incredibly, the first Lions tour was organised and funded by three men who played in England's first ever Test cricket match. Opening bowler Alfred Shaw, opening batsman Arthur Shrewsbury and captain James Lillywhite. The 1888 Lions squad then, made up of 17 English, 4 Scots and 1 Welshman and a Northern Irishman, took a 46-day boat trip to New Zealand before heading to Australia. The Lions weren't alone on the boat. Also on board were 300 stoats and weasels who were brought over to eliminate New Zealand's rabbit problem. The first ever Lions captain, Robert Seddon, died of drowning midway through the tour while sculling on a river. Andrew Stoddart, who was another of the cricketers there, took over and was the star of the tour. The next one was the first to get official recognition from the RFU against the newly formed Springboks. Although the Lions won the series and beat the Boks again 5 years later, in the 12 series since in South Africa, they've only won 2. New Zealand has proved an even tougher hunting ground, just the 1 series win for the Lions in 11 attempts, which came in 1971. And then there was that nail-shredding drawn series in 2017, only the second in Lions history. Only once have the Lions clinched a series after losing the first test, 1989, when David Campese's infamous ghost pass was pounced upon by Ian Evans. Before World War II, the Lions had a dark blue strip, which on the 1930 tour forced the All Blacks to play in all white. So in 1950, the iconic red shirts, white shorts and blue and green socks combination was born. It remains the symbol of the greatest alliance of adversaries in all of sport. To borrow the phrase from Jim Telfer, the Lions is Everest.
Very good morning to you. It's Sam Matterface and the former West Ham, Newcastle and Crystal Palace boss Alan Pardew, and we're live on talkSPORT this morning. Thank you very much for choosing us. So, a week in Liverpool, humbled at home by Crystal Palace by 3-0. Arne Slot's starting 11 got people talking last night, and it's going to get people talking again this morning. What about his comments post-match as well? Is it baffling to hear a side that had £400 million worth of investment in the summer and make excuses for a lack of depth? 03717 223344. Or is it just the pressures of the football calendar in 2025? Meanwhile, there was more ill discipline that nearly cost Chelsea, and League Cup holders Newcastle dumped out Spurs last night with relative ease. Plus, Martin O'Neill gets off to a winning start at Celtic. We're all happy about that for him. Vinnie Jr. is grovelling to the Real Madrid fans, and we'll head up to Manchester ahead of Joshua Buatsi against Zack this weekend. It's Sam Matterface alongside Alan Pardew, and we're live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
And as well as listening to the show, you can watch the show as well. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Samsung, LG, Fire TV, Apple TV, Chromecast, Android and Google TV apps. We're even on Prime Video as well. Alan Pardew is here. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sam. I'm very well, thank you.
Nice to see you. A couple of your clubs got some good results last night, didn't they?
They did indeed. Well, Crystal Palace got this hoodoo over the Liverpool, haven't they? Last 4 games, won 3, drawn 1, 2 defeats in 9, I think, or something like that. Outstanding achievement. I mean, they're a really proper good side. They changed 3 or 4 last night, but didn't really weaken the team.
Yeah, and I think we probably should start by saying that Crystal Palace deserve a lot of credit. They approached the game with a serious team. They only changed one or two. They scored some very good goals in that match. They needed the victory after their recent run of form. Actually had a little dip over the last couple of weeks, but it's the third time they've beaten Liverpool already this season. Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, Dominic Szoboszlai, Cody Gakpo, Florian Wirtz, Mohamed Salah and Hugo Ekitike absent as the Reds made quite a tame exit last night in the Carabao Cup. It was clearly a second-string lineup, sprinkled with Chiesa, McAllister and Gomez, only teenagers on the bench. Arne Slot didn't get much running in his first season in charge, but not much is going right at the moment. It's 6 defeats in 7 now for Liverpool and the Dutchman. Villa, Real Madrid and Man City to come in the next 3 fixtures. When does it go from being a bad spell to a serious problem?
Well, I think, when it comes round, you've got Aston Villa at 8 o'clock, I think, and then it's Tuesday. So a quick turnaround to Real Madrid. Both home games, I mean, they're going to be essential for him, I think. I mean, looking at the feedback he's had after last night and the team that he selected, he's put himself under massive pressure, something that he wouldn't have expected, particularly with the signings they made in the summer. But the gelling, the coming together of that squad looks all over the place at the moment. There's definitely a feeling of unease that is spreading.
Can you understand why he made 10 changes?
Not really, if I'm honest. I don't think going into that fixture, knowing how difficult Crystal Palace are. I mean, Arteta mentioned it in his statement after the game on Sunday, saying how pleased he was that they got that victory over Crystal Palace. And that, it was a great victory in the circumstances, because they're a tough cookie. Everybody in the Premier League knows that Crystal Palace is like, a really tough game. And to make 10 changes, although one of the changes was Freddie Woodman, Andy Woodman's son, who got the goal, the going in goal. He's the third choice there. So I was pleased to see, him get a game. But, to field such an inexperienced team in front of him was asking for trouble, and they got it.
Well, he defended his team selection last night after the match when he spoke to our reporters.
So a year ago, we did the same, but maybe the lineup felt differently. I said this also for the television, that before I went out, I saw City's lineup, and I don't think they had one starter from the weekend, but it felt as if you looked at their lineup, they played with their 11 starters. So maybe it also gives a little bit of an insight that everybody has always said how big of a squad we are having. When we played Chelsea, I said they're missing 8, but they can still bring Estevao in. Now we're only missing 4 players at the moment, and already we needed to start with 4 players under the age of 19. And after I made 2 substitutions, we were on 6.
Is it baffling to hear him talk like that after the side had £400 million worth of talent plumbed into it during the course of the close season?
They're champions of the Premier League. So you'd expect that, going into this season, that would be a defence that would be a defence of that Premier League would be the utmost importance. So they went and gone, OK, let's not do what's happened in the past. Let's go and win it again. And they've gone big. And in doing so, maybe there's an imbalance in his squad in that he has so many offensive players. He has strikers that, obviously most of the Premier League would give their right arm for. The rest of the group, particularly the Gahey transfer, now has become coming back to haunt him, because the back four definitely looks loose. I don't think the 2 fullbacks have settled at all.
Started out Andy Robertson at left centre-half last night.
And Andy Robertson played left centre-half, which is, I can only go back to my time at clubs, particularly at Newcastle, when there was real pressure on us when we got into Europe to play weakened teams in League Cup, to give people a little rest. And even, I wouldn't have made that many changes, but, you do have to rotate the squad, of course, because you have to give people opportunity. Now, the League Cup is an opportunity for the top Premier League sides to give, some of their squad games. Chiesa got a game last night. McAllister got a game. We didn't get a game in the weekend. So, that's where you usually look to. But when I looked at that team last night, I would expect to have at least 4 or 5 of the stars.
You wouldn't have done that, though, would you? You wouldn't have changed that many people and not have any first teamers on the bench just in case there was a problem.
Absolutely
against a team
not.
like Crystal Palace.
Usually, most Premier League games that are in a League Cup squads, load the bench. So you've always got that, you can make 3 or 4 changes to sort of put it right if things are going.
What would be the reason for not doing that?
I don't know. I just think maybe he feels mentally, maybe he just feels because of the recent results, mentally that group just needed to come away from a game, just sort of sit back and sort of have the night off. That's the only explanation.
Will they get extra time on the training ground together with those first team players if they are not involved in that game? So because, it's very difficult at the moment to get full sessions, hard, proper sessions because of the number of games. Does this help them?
No, that wouldn't make for example, they'd be in today and that group would train and he might go through a few sequences and bring the kid, the younger players over to offer some kind of resistance. But I don't think that would have been the main thinking for himself. Sometimes he might just look at Van Dijk and a few of them and gone, right, you're having a night off. And I think it's more of a mental rest than a physical rest or a work-related rest. I think it's just genuinely, let's take him out of the picture, let him have a night off, and we'll start again on Thursday.
Would you be a little bit concerned that he's needing to do that at this stage of the campaign? We're not even at Halloween and we're already talking about workload and overextending people.
Yeah, I am concerned of whether he's got himself in a bit of a twizzle, with the results that have gone on and the pressure has kicked in for the first time, and like he is feeling when you're at a big club like Liverpool, for example, that pressure he hasn't felt before. Because obviously he won the championship last year. Okay, the cup final, other things went against him a little bit, cup games, but he's really not been under it until now. And, he has to sort of clear away through the forest that he's in. The forest of defeat, unfortunately.
Well, quite rightly, because Liverpool have lost more games in the last month than any other team in the top 5 leagues of English football. When does the blip become a serious problem? 03717 722 3344. You can WhatsApp us on that number. You can call us on that number. Liverpool fans, with the calendar the way it is, they're in the middle of 7 games in 21 days. Can you understand why the team he picked last night contained 10 changes and there weren't any first-teamers on the bench? It's half-term. You may have taken your kids to a Carabao Cup tie last night. Are you happy with Arsenal making 10 changes, 4 teenagers in the 11? Is it good to see some of the younger players? You need to have
now, see, this is where the contradiction stops because, when you are a Premier League team and you make the changes and you win, of course, then there is no pressure. You've done exactly the right thing to do.
But you've got to win.
You've got to win.
03717 22 44. Wolves fans made a host of changes yesterday. Last night, lost Chelsea. 7 or 8 changes last night. Got 3-0 up and then almost tried to throw it away. We haven't moaned about the changes in the League Cup for quite some while. You can't really take the liberties you used to be able to in the League Cup. It's a big silverware. It's a big trophy, and silverware is scarce for everybody, and the big clubs want to win as many trophies as possible. So why isn't it prioritised? 03717 22 3344. Newcastle only made 7 changes last night, but were looked on point. So 7 changes and it will still work for them. They look very strong. Tottenham made 4 changes. A little bit under par last night, but, be interesting to see what Tottenham fans make of their performance as well. 03717 22 3344. Liverpool fans, when does a blip become a serious problem? We'll do that next. Hey, good morning to you. It's talkSPORT. Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew this morning. We're taking your calls on last night's Carabao Cup action. Big win for Crystal Palace away at Anfield. It's a 6 defeat in 7 games for Arne Slot and for Liverpool. What happens next? And when does a blip become a serious problem? Did you understand the changes in the Carabao Cup last night? Bearing in mind, Liverpool, 7 games in 21 days are in the middle of that sort of run. Or is there a little bit of an issue here that needs further investigation? Let's speak to David and Tony. And we've got a full board of callers as well. Tony, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, good morning, lads.
Morning, Tony. What do you want to say?
He's got the recruitment completely wrong for me. He spent over 400 million on 3 players. He should have bought in. We needed the number 6. We needed a centre half. I'm sure he could have got I would have been happy with just Ekatike, maybe a different striker for less money. He's moaning about the squad here now that he hasn't got the strength and depth. Well, that's his fault by spending all that money on 3 players. I think last season he got very lucky. He got Klopp's team and everyone else underperformed. And everyone thinks he's like the greatest manager. Looking at it now, I don't think he knows what he's doing. The difference is with Klopp got the best out of young players because he had them fired up. It doesn't look like he's doing it with these. It doesn't like none of the players want to play for him to me. And last night's selection, the team, if he would have put a strong team out, Palace still could have beat Liverpool, and that would have been him under pressure even more. He's got an excuse now because he's played the young kids. Now I know. Because the squad's not big enough, he's worried about players getting injured, and I do believe that there is a few players carrying knocks. But his overall management skills, for me, is proven at the minute that he's not the man, and I think if he don't win on Saturday, I think he's going to go.
But what's the difference between this year and last year? Because last year's obviously, he did a brilliant job, and everyone was talking about how seamlessly he made the transition from a Klopp team into his own team, and then obviously going on and winning the league. Why all of a sudden is he now not the man for the job, and is his management style being questioned?
I just think last season the players were confident. They were winning every week. They weren't playing brilliant. They were scraping games. Gravenberg played out of his skin. I think he got lucky, and Arsenal lost Saka, City were off it, Chelsea were off it, United were off it, and I just think it was one of them seasons when Leicester won it. That, anyone could have won it that year. I just unfortunate that Liverpool got the momentum, and when you're winning games, Al, you get confident, don't you? And Tees used to fear Liverpool last season as well. They come to Anfield and they were beat before they got on the pitch for me as well.
Yeah,
but now I think Tees fancy it now against us.
I think that's an interesting point, Tony, because I know that as a Premier League manager, going to an away game when you know that it's a cauldron and the place is on fire and the momentum's with them, then you are going to set up your team slightly different. If you're finding them nervous, they're on a little, they've lost a couple and they're a bit vulnerable. So I think you're right there. The attitude of the opposition has changed a little bit towards Liverpool. And particularly, I don't know how you feel, Tony, about the back four, but it looks all over the place to me.
Yeah, well, Jamie Carragher said they'd lost a little bit of physicality. This is a team that haven't kept any clean sheets in the last 10 games. They've become very soft. I wonder what the reason for that is. Tony, thank you very much. David's a Liverpool fan. We've got a lot to rattle through, so we'll try and get as many on as possible. Hi, David.
Hi there. Hi, guys. I back Slot to make those changes last night. I think with the squad, the way it is at the moment, we have like 7 or 8 players out. We are out injured, like Leone and obviously Curtis Jones and stuff. So if you put like 4 or 5 of those players in that team looks much stronger. But the way the injuries are at the moment, we can't afford to have anyone injured. And the problem you got is, if we'd have played the full-strength team last night, and as the fella said, we got beat, which could have been possible the way Palace's record against us is, then what the confidence has done to the team then? I just think we couldn't have risked anyone last night.
And interestingly, Slot sort of mentioned that afterwards, didn't he? He said, in 2 days we play Aston Villa. The last time I played a player who I thought was ready, it turned out that maybe he wasn't. That was Alexander Isak when he went out with an injury. I mean, so you can understand why he's making these changes, because he's concerned about what he perceives to be the bigger games further down the track.
Well, he knows that this particular game is not going to put so much scrutiny on him as maybe a defeat at Villa or at Real Madrid. So, yeah, that was the easier call. I mean, there is always an issue, and sometimes you don't always know. As as a football manager, the group is you're looking at that group thinking, wow, okay, some of these guys need a rest, either physically or mentally. And at this League Cup game, I'm going to have to stick the kids in. But you never put a team out that you think is going to get beat. he would assume last night that team was going to be competitive to an extent that they would win or get something out of the tie. So, that would have been in his thinking. But when you look at the team, wow, there was a lot of changes. And, it doesn't, like Chiesa playing up the top on his own, it doesn't really look to me like a team that was, ever going to win that game. And of course, they didn't.
03717223344. David, thank you very much for your call. As a Palace fan, if I was in Liverpool's position in Europe against Madrid, etc., I think I'd probably expect the same. With all due respect to the Carabao Cup, Madrid and the upcoming games are more important. Imagine losing Virgil van Dijk to injury or Salah or Gakpo. I don't think you can blame Arne Slot. That's from Darren. Arne Slot is definitely on borrowed time. Alan Pardew is completely right. The problem is the defence. Instead of getting that right by getting Mark Gay, we ran around like headless chickens chasing Zack, an injury-prone, overrated striker who we don't need. The next 3 games will determine Slot's future, says Mike in Wales. Is that a little bit knee-jerk?
Well, we always think this about the Premier League. You go, oh, okay, is he under pressure? And obviously all the medias kick on, he is under pressure. And then it sort of builds momentum, and then the manager inevitably goes. The situation in the Slot has obviously bought himself some time with the Championship. He has got a great squad. There's no doubt about that. He needs to get a win really quickly. And I'm talking about Saturday night, really.
Yeah. Well, that game against Aston Villa is live on talkSPORT, and defeat to Aston Villa on Saturday night on talkSPORT will constitute Liverpool's worst run of form since 1953.
Wow.
They last lost 5 in a row. Those games followed by the Real Madrid game at home in the Champions League and away to Manchester City. Did Liverpool win the title with Klopp's team and now showing cracks under Slot? Not saying bad manager, but all the money spent, shouldn't they be better, says Craig. As a Palace fan, I agree that you need to rest your players. Hi, lads. Arne Slot out now, says Tony. Get Steven Gerrard to take the job on an interim basis alongside Gary McAllister as number 2.
Okay.
Not sure that's going to happen, but you never know. 81089 on the text. You can also get in touch via WhatsApp. It's 03717223344. I wonder if there's an argument, actually, that this highlights just how difficult it is to retain the Premier League. You need every ounce of energy, commitment, togetherness to get over the line to win the Premier League title. It's very difficult to do it again, as Liverpool are finding. Joe's a Liverpool fan. You're through to Alan Pardew. What do you want to have to say?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. To be honest, I think if we don't win the next 3 games, he has to be out. 9 defeats in 10 is shocking. And why he keeps playing Kirkhead is beyond any of us. I mean, Andy Robertson is a top left back, and I just think he's lost the dressing room. And last year's team was Klopp's team, and he's only been in the Dutch league, and I think it's all a bit beyond him, to be honest.
What's your reaction to that? A bit beyond him?
No, I don't think it's beyond him. But I do think that the Kirkes one has really kind of destabilised the team a little bit. That position, he looks uncomfortable at times defensively. I don't think he's offered brilliantly going forward like he did down when he was at Bournemouth. So there is an issue there of why Robinson isn't playing. Whether there's some bad feeling going on in the dressing room between the captain and his partner at centre-half, Konate, that doesn't look like a relationship that's going anywhere at the moment. They look playing as individuals.
You're concerned about that, aren't you? You're concerned about that combination.
No, I think when I look at the backbone of that team that won the league last year, when you got Alisson, Van Dijk, Gravenberch, that spine really looks, well, it isn't there because obviously he's injured. Gravenberch is injured. And Van Dijk looks to me like he's looking at Konate going, I wish it was Gueye, to an extent. And I want to go back one thing about the transfer policy. I would suspect that the transfer policy wasn't just slots. It was the clubs. There's obviously a transfer team that get together, a recruitment team with the owner, and they lay down what they want to do. Now, Slot might have been that he really wanted Gueye. And then, of course, they left it late, trying to get Isaac over the line. And then when they got right to the end of the window, like, now I'm going to get my man. I'm just talking it as maybe. This is a maybe kind of conversation. That then Crystal Palace couldn't get a replacement and went, no, it's off.
And do you think that makes a significant difference to the way that Liverpool have performed? Just that one signing?
I really do, because I think he is the best centre-half, particularly left-sided centre-half in the country, Gueye. And possibly, you could put him in any team. You could put him in France's team. You could put him in Italy's team. He's one of those players, it seems to just be able to deliver week in, week out, going to get a transfer move, still putting a top performance. He's just like an outstanding character. And to have that in the champions, and the leadership, obviously captain at Crystal Palace. You know, another leader, I think that was a major, major flaw that they didn't. They left it too late. They should have done it earlier and got him done.
So many calls to get through between now and 11 o'clock. 03717 223344. What did you think of your team in the Carabao Cup last night? 03717 223344. Alan Pardew is here. It's talkSPORT with Selco's Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
Let's be honest, we've all found ourselves raging at a referee's decision at some stage. Something like this?
That is an absolutely shocking decision.
They've got a case in that it was a bad decision.
It's such a poor decision.
Yeah, I think he's just made a bad decision in that instance.
But what does it take to get to the very top level of football refereeing? You can apply to become a referee through your local county FA from as soon as your 14th birthday. After spending several hours either in the classroom or on the pitch, they'll grant you Level 7 status, which allows you to officiate amateur games. Then you'll work your way through the ranks of amateur football, not reaching the National League until Level 2. It's a long process, bearing in mind every level from 7 upwards takes an average of a year. Also, there's no specific number of games you have to ref or hours you have to log before moving on up. You simply just have to be good enough. Once you're Level 2 and have enough experience at a National League level, you can apply to the EFL to become a Level 1 referee. Then it's on you to get enough experience to climb through the ranks and eventually become a Premier League referee. In total, there are 37,000 registered referees across England, but the PGMOL has only deemed 21 good enough to officiate games in the top flight. So if you want to make it to the top, there's less than a 1 in 1,000 chance of doing it, and it'll take you a decade to get there.
it's talkSPORT. Sam Matterface alongside Alan Pardew, the Premier League manager who's been to an FA Cup final with Crystal Palace and West Ham United. He joins us in the studio till 1 o'clock this afternoon. He knows what it's like to get over the line in cups. He took Newcastle into Europe as well. All these so-called fans calling for slots ahead need to give their heads a wobble, says Ashley, the Liverpool fan. He said all teams go through spells like this. Sorry, Alan, I'm afraid Sven Botman is the best left-sided centre-back in the league, from Thomas, a Newcastle fan who loves the show. Thank you very much. Arne Slot will need to get rid of Salah and Van Dijk. Why? Because they can never get dropped. And with fans or players feeling, without the fans or the player feeling disrespected, these two have a lot of control in the dressing room. Virgil van Dijk and Salah have been some of our worst players this season. He will lose the dressing room if he hasn't already. Alan, best left-sided centre-back in the country. Does Gabriel play cricket?
Don't know, does he?
Listen, I'm just reading out the text messages.
I'm, a great admirer of both those centre halves.
Yes,
but I still put Gahey above them for his leadership qualities and his character.
I like the fact that you started a debate, though, a little side subplot debate. That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Any other nominations for best left-sided centre half in the division? We'll take those as well. 8 10 89 03717 2233.
Did forget about Gabriel.
You do though sometimes, don't you? Yeah. When you're just talking. Yeah. There's so many players. Richard, hello.
Hiya. The comment I want to make, Mr. Pardew made a very good comment. He said that they should have focused on the guy from Crystal Palace. What I can't understand is Liverpool have always been a family and then a team. Why did they chase a guy that's not a team player? He spat out his dummy at Newcastle, and they kept chasing him, which he's paying the price for now, because he's brought all these players, and as I said to your researcher, in a Formula One team, you get a new team, they get an engine of a Ferrari, they get the chassis of a McLaren, they get the running gear of Mercedes. That doesn't mean it's going to make a good car. It's got to gel together. They got to sort out the teething problems, but no one expected, including me, I didn't expect it to be this bad a transition.
But I also don't think you expected last year for Slot to walk in and take you to the title, did you?
No, I agree with that entirely, yeah. But to replace half a team, which is basically what he's done, you think of the goal power we've lost with Diaz, Nunez, God rest his soul, Jota. I mean, that's a lot of power you've lost. And unfortunately, Salah's not firing on all cylinders at all. And I think Canate has had his head turned by Real Madrid.
Well, it's certainly something that has been levelled at him, isn't it, Richard? Thank you very much for your call. Appreciate that. 03717 223344. Of course, I think we have to caveat every debate we have about Liverpool and form with the terrible tragedy that befell them in the summer.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's had an impact in the dressing room for sure. But I want to go back to one point that Richard made, which I thought was relevant. It was about this Zack pursuit, where they've obviously fueled it all along, Liverpool. It wasn't like, okay, we'll take him at the end, or, it was all obviously planned, it was organised. There's no doubt about that the boy's head was massively turned. Now, he's come into that Liverpool squad, and maybe the focus went away from the rest of the squad and Gahey on that issue, that they couldn't get him across the line. When's he going to come? The whole saga. I mean, this show was run about that transfer for like 2 or 3 weeks.
But that's still man management, right? Once you get the player in the building, you still got to manage that dynamic in the dressing room.
Correct. But I do think that kind of feeling is something. There is something in that they've taken this player and against really like the scruples of the whole thing was
but
wrong.
People transfer from club to club,
yeah,
don't
of course.
They?
No,
why did you not like it?
I just don't like. I in fact, I like the fact that it hasn't kind of worked out for them in a way.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That's what the point I'm trying to raise.
You're sort of pleased that it hasn't worked out because of the way he conducted himself.
Yeah, of course. And
but
I
doesn't
think
everyone do that?
Because What do you mean everyone do that?
Well, Johan Vista didn't play too often for.
There's plenty of examples.
And I think Gyökeres as well didn't.
There's plenty of examples. That don't make it right, though, does it? That doesn't make it right. That there's other players that do it.
But it does happen. It's a regular occurrence. It does happen.
But the point I'm saying is that it went on and went on and went on and went on. They couldn't get it across the line. Maybe they lost focus of the Gahey transfer, thinking that, OK, once we get this done, we'll go and get Gahey. But time was running out. And Crystal Palace, I think, and Steve Parish has gone on record to say that he kept saying to Liverpool, like, you need to, if you're going to do this business, you need to do it. Because obviously he only had 1 year on his contract, so Crystal Palace are under a little bit of pressure as well.
And they want the money and they want to be able to replace him. Right, okay, let's rattle through a couple of these calls. Let's get Keith on the line, then Prash on the line, get some others just very quickly before the break. Keith, go on, you've got 30 seconds to make your point. Go for it.
How you doing? Yeah, I just wanted to make a point that since the start of the season, we've had absolutely no control in the games whatsoever. I wonder what Alan thinks about that tactically, and I think even the spine of the team. When you go back to this spell last season, we played City, I think, at home. We played Real Madrid at home. I think we played Chelsea around the same time. We absolutely ran all over those midfields and had real control in those games, and that's what's been lost. We've still got those most of those same players there, certainly in the spine of the team, but it's just not happening, and I think he's really got to earn his money over these next few games, getting that side of it sorted, and just get so open through the middle, so easy to play through, and that's the bit that I think he's really got to focus on and sort out.
I think Keith's spot on there, because we said when I was doing on my Sunday night show with Madge, those early games with Liverpool, were saying, well, they haven't played well. I mean, they've just got them over the line. There's been no control. No, when Slot first come in.
Well, that was a hallmark of the team.
Correct. So Klopp, okay, like this, high tempo, get them, go, Klopp sort of football. Now we're under Slot. Now it's all organised. It's all methodical. We all know what we're doing. Constant pressure. Good pressure when the opposition have got the ball, and then constant kind of attacks and we waves of attacks, winning the ball back, etc., etc. That has not happened in any game that Liverpool played this year. It's almost like they have a period of 5-10 minutes, and then the opposition have a breakaway, and it looks like they're gonna score a set plays. They look a little bit vulnerable, etc., etc. So I think that keeps spot on that. There has been no kind of Slot control that he had last year.
I wonder how you get yourselves out of this. Do you try and practice? Do you use patience? Do you tear it up and start again? As a manager, what is the route to get out of a run of form like this? We'll ask Alan that in just a second. Prash is a Liverpool fan. Hello.
Hey, mate. You okay?
Yeah, we're good. Thank you. What do you want to say?
It's a quick one. Perfect timing, actually. I don't think they've had time on the training ground enough. I think we've had game midweek, weekend, weekend. I think Slot's taking the opportunity to go, right, everyone out, let's get on the training ground, let's figure this out, what we're going to do. And I think yesterday was a perfect reason why we played so many kids. I think Jota was coming back for his pre-season. Unfortunately, tragically, he passed away. That's had a massive impact on our pre-season. That's taken some weeks and weeks. Obviously, the pre-season is going to be structured. There's going to be it's going to have some regularity to it. I think that was massively interrupted. We haven't had the opportunity. I think that's the common denominator why everyone's out of link and out of sync.
Prash, thank you very much for your call. 03717223344. That's probably quite an important point, actually, isn't it? Pre-season was disrupted. They didn't have as much time on the training field.
And when you're in the Champions League and, you got the Charity Shield, there was etc., etc., the time on the training ground, all managers moan. You just don't get enough time. You just don't.
No. Slot is looking like Eric Ten Hag, done well one season, spent a load of money the next to make the team worse and not control games and talk nonsense in interviews. Maybe Liverpool needs Southgate to steady the ship, says one texter.
I was with him last night.
You were, weren't you? You were with Sir Gareth, Sir Steve, Dame Laura, and Sir... There's another Sir that you were with, you told me. Andrew, Sir Andrew.
I can't remember
Strauss.
which ones you said, Mr. Andrew. Of course, Sir Andrew Strauss.
You were in high.
It was for Cancer Research UK, actually, who do an amazing job, as you can imagine. Yeah. But it was an LMA event. But those 3 nights and a day, done a little chit chat after, which was great. And Laura Kenny in particular spoke, from her heart, which was lovely to hear. And it's great to, their journeys, whatever their journeys have been, have always had hardships. massive hardships in some cases, including in Laura's case. But, to come through it all and become, who they are is inspirational, and that's what those kind of events are about.
Did you get any word from Gareth if he's coming back to football?
Well, Hayley McQueen was doing the Q&A. Your sort of job you do. I'm surprised you didn't get a call. But she's much more beautiful than you, and she's much more eloquent. And anyway, she asked a few questions along the football lines, which Gareth, particularly about England, which he skirted around.
Danced around.
Yeah, well done, Gareth.
Absolutely agree with the slot team selection, says one texter. If Liverpool had won the last 5 and picked that squad yesterday, nobody bothered. Klopp has always done that with the Carabao Cup, as did Slot last season too, and nobody had an issue. He's been proactive here, shown a massive set of you-know-what. It would have been very easy to listen to the outside noise and throw the big heads at getting the win. But this week is all about getting victories. It's a great week to show our quality. Up the Reds. Thank you very much for all your contributions to that debate. 03717223344 if you want to send us any more WhatsApp. Loads more to get through, including a victory for Martin O'Neill last night in his first game back in charge of Celtic. Alan Pardew is here. With me, Sam Matterface, through till 1 o'clock this afternoon. Other results last night in the Carabao Cup. Chelsea beat Wolves by 4-3. They won that game twice, really. They became the first Premier League side of all time to have 4 different scorers aged 21 or younger in a match in all competitions. Andre Santos, Tyreek George, Esteval and Jamie Gittins. But with youth comes a little bit of inconsistency. Chelsea 3-0 up and then invited Wolves back in. They also picked up another red card. Liam Delap's only been back for a couple of moments and then all of a sudden he's sent off. 2 bookable offences. Now, including the manager, Alan, he was sent off against Liverpool for 2 bookable
Running down the side, yeah, I remember seeing it.
6 red cards in the last 9 games, and 4 of those have been for 2 yellow card offences. How much of an issue is that?
Well, it is an issue. And, it's, when you get to that sort of stage, and unfortunately, he's got one himself. So that, somewhat waters down his message. But I'm guessing he's had the chit-chat. And then looking to his comments after about, he actually sort of said Delap was stupid for the first time. He's had to kind of do it publicly. It is a concern. The sort of things where you get the email from the owner, what's going on with the discipline, et cetera, et cetera. So it is something you will address as a Premier League manager. But that doesn't mean to say you can stop it happening. Delap looks like he just come on and lost his head last night. I mean, the second incident was awful.
Yes, and afterwards, Enzo Maresca said it was stupid and embarrassing.
Yes, stupid foul, we can avoid that. Yeah. No, it's not to him, it's to everyone that I completely support and understand when there are red cards like Brighton or Man United, that is difficult. But red card against Nottingham and red card today, both we can avoid that, and we have to avoid that. No, yeah, but it's embarrassing when it's a red card like today. Like today, it's embarrassing, because it's 2 yellow cards in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes. Both, I think we can avoid that. So it's not good.
A few little red flags here, actually. The second half performance wasn't particularly great. They went half an hour without having a shot, actually, Chelsea, at one point, and allowed Wolves back into the match. But Liam Delap, after only just coming back from injury, is now going to miss Saturday's trip to London rivals Tottenham. And with João Pedro not firing on all cylinders at the moment, a few concerns about him, that's going to be a big miss.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're coming into, that's a massive game in terms of the local rivalry, et cetera, et cetera. And in the scheme of things in the Premier League, it might just amplifies it. It's not ideal. I mean, that is a really bad situation for him to have a striker not available and one not quite firing. Tough.
Yeah, I wonder how you sort out a discipline problem when a lot of those are, as we mentioned before, second yellow cards. So someone who's lost their head or made a mistake and then gone and make another mistake. Does that come with immaturity, do you think?
Well, you also got, whatever that disciplinary kind of sheet is, i.e., if you get a red card, you usually get a fine. 2 yellow cards, not always. So it'd be interesting to see if Delap gets punished for his indiscipline and everything else that the manager was throwing at him in the press conference. Maresca always looks cold, by the way. Do you think he's engineering a move away to somewhere warmer? Every time I see him,
he's always wrapped up.
He's always
massive, great big puffer jacket.
He does not like the West London weather.
Most bizarre yellow card I've ever seen, says Brian, when he's talking about Delap. I thought it was if he wanted to get booked even after his first yellow. It was obviously he was going to get a second. The team have no discipline whatsoever. This should have been sorted by now. How many red cards do we need before it is dealt with? Well, 6 in the last 9 games. Comes with a lot of suspensions and problems, and certainly Chelsea will need to sort that out very quickly indeed. They're not the only ones that have got problems to sort out. Victor Pereira hasn't won a game all season. He's no win in 6 months, says this texter. In fact, they've won a couple in the League Cup, haven't they, this season? But surely, Victor Pereira has to be sacked, says one texter. Is this the season we finally go down? Well, it's 6 weeks on from signing a new deal, but is he in real danger? Because the team are.
The team are definitely in danger. No wins, after 9 games in the Premier League. You got to win 10 to stay in the division. Definitely 9. So, that's a tough call now with 29 games remaining. That means you've got to win a third of them. So it's going to be very, very difficult to stay in the division. I was always, when I was watching him getting so kind of emotional about games last year, and going celebrating with the fans and all that. And it looked like everybody was with him. I think there's always an issue then. Sometimes I think the manager it's very important to sort of keep a middle ground. He sort of goes high and low, and it worries me a little bit. He certainly needs a win. There's no doubt about that.
I was just looking through the team last night. Obviously, you've got Jose Sarr, who's been around the block, but isn't the Premier League goalkeeper at the moment. He's the backup goalkeeper because they switched out him for Johnston. Doherty was the captain of the team. Mosquera, Gomez, Wolf, Agbadu, Lopez, Chachawa, Gomez, Huang, Aracadera. I mean, there's a lot of new players in that Wolves lineup, and there has been over the course of the season. It feels like there's been a lot of churn there over the course of the last few years, and not necessarily that churn has upgraded the team.
Well, I go back to one of my rounds of Arsene Wenger, and I had 2 or 3 rounds of him. One was about when he fielded a whole team when no Englishmen played, and I highlighted it as a West Ham manager and got into a bit of trouble with him.
What did he say?
Well, I can't remember. It was more or less the lines of what's he talking about? What does he know? Etc. Etc. But the issue I have is because obviously I want England to be strong, and Wolves carry, I think, the least amount of Englishmen or British players in their squad in the whole country in all the Premier League. So what you've then got then, and I've had it at Newcastle a couple of times when you're buying players and you're in that market of buying players that are looking to get a move to a bigger club. That's they're using your club maybe to get to a bigger club. So you get kind of individuals, you get kind of people who have their own agenda.
You get like people passing through
a little bit. And then, of course, if you're winning, that all's okay. That's all okay. It all gets expressed. But when you're losing, it just manifests. It just becomes more of an issue. We've got no voice in the dressing room. We've got no leadership. Everyone's here for themselves kind of attitude. The agents get involved. Yeah, my player's fine, but the rest of them are no good. You get all that going on to the owner. The owner's coming down on the manager. Starts getting problematic.
Yeah.
You can sense that, can't you?
Yeah, but he's just been given
just by looking at me, I could see your eyebrow. You did
I can imagine that when you're in a
James
situation...
Bond eyebrow there, yeah. It's not bad, that, actually.
It's not quite Ancelotti.
No, it's all right, though.
It's not bad. It's not bad. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, you can see that now. Right, OK, we'll talk a little bit more about Tottenham Hotspur last night as well, beaten by Newcastle by 2-0. They are the joint top scorers in the Premier League this season, and they're sitting in third, but there were a few grumbles last night. This is talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the headlines, just coming up to 1 minute past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. talkSPORT's Adrian Durham says Liverpool fans are growing restless with Arne Slot.
They don't want him out because of what happened last season, I get that. But I think they're getting a little bit frustrated with the excuses he's coming out with time and time again after games, and I think last night was the worst.
After Liverpool's 3-0 defeat to Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup, Arne Slot defended those sweeping changes, saying his overworked first-team players are injury risks. Alan Pardew tried to make sense of it.
No, I just think maybe he feels mentally, maybe he just feels because of the recent results, mentally that group just needed to come away from a game. Just sort of sit back and sort of have the night off. That's the only explanation.
6 defeats in 7 now. Liverpool versus Aston Villa is live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. It's thought Sheffield Wednesday players and staff will be paid on time and in full tomorrow. Administrators at the club are positive following good ticket sales. A Spanish football fan who racially abused Marcus Rashford looks set to be fined $3.5 grand. The England and Barcelona forward was targeted in a match with Real Oviedo. Amir Khan says Floyd Mayweather is probably too concerned with YouTubers at the moment, but he fancies a rematch with Manny Pacquiao.
Look, end of the day, I'd like to be in the ring with legends, and obviously I've fought a few in my career, but you know what, Manny Pacquiao, in my opinion, is a friend and he's a great fighter, and I know that it'll be a great fight. And very sellable as well, because we both have half-decent names, you know.
And Joe Marler has been tipped to win Celebrity Traitors. Danny Kerr told us his pal Marler was born to play the game.
No one can ever work him out. Yeah. And now he's in there with A-list celebrities, and you could see he is mind warping them all. They have no idea what he's on about.
talkSPORT News.
The government tells us it wants prostate cancer screening in place as a trial finds it would save thousands of lives in Britain, and £500 million of unpaid bills could be wiped out. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With expert technicians in all our centres across the country, we'll keep your car's inbuilt safety tech in top condition this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Dry, bright and chilly, turning increasingly cloudy from the west, rain arriving, becoming windy too with coastal gales in many western areas.
So busy with fallout from last night's Carabao Cup stuff. We've got loads to get through between now and midday. It's Sam Matterface alongside Alan Pardew in for Jim and Simon this Thursday. Remember, more live football for you this weekend. We've got Liverpool against Aston Villa. It's live on talkSPORT at 8 o'clock. And Friday night, by the way, Wrexham against Coventry. I saw Wrexham on Tuesday night. Coventry playing very, very well at the moment, top of the table. And go to Wrexham looking to extend their league at the top of the Championship table. That's live on talkSPORT 2 on Friday night. Tottenham Hotspur, third in the Premier League table, joint top scorers with 17 goals this season, unbeaten away from home until last night, but beaten by Newcastle United last night, Alan. And it was an interesting take from Thomas Frank. Was he right to direct his ire over the concession of the first goal towards the referee for not allowing his player to tie his shoelaces? This is what he had to say.
We conceded 2 goals because of 2 mistakes, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the ref was part of the mistake in the first one. I'm not saying there's things we can't do better, but his boots is off. We need to tie his shoelace, tie his boot. And you can clearly see on the footage afterwards that the whole boot is off, so you need to do it. And it's minute 23. It's not like we had delayed the game for 10 minutes and we are 1-0 up. It's common sense to allow him time to get in. So as soon as he had the boot on, the ref let it go, and then to make it perfect. Jets' man he had to mark was Shah that scored, so that's why we were very animated. I think that was the biggest one. I think the rest was fine. There's always small bits you can be irritated about, but it's very difficult to ref a game. But this, for me, was a unfortunate big mistake.
Well, Danso and Kinski got themselves into a bit of a miscommunication moment.
You was at the game, right?
I was, and that's why they conceded the corner kick in the first place. Jed Spence had lost the boot, and he went to put it back on again. He wasn't ready. He was still doing his shoelaces up. But I watched it back this morning to see how long he had to put his boot back on and tie his laces. And it was between 45 seconds and 50
Did you ever stop
seconds.
watch on your phone going? You did?
Yeah,
didn't
I did.
I know, you're a bit sad like that.
Is that long enough?
I would have thought so. I mean, you know, we're talking about England's fullback here. When I looked at that fixture, you know, emotionally, obviously, I know Newcastle fans. I know the stadium very, very well. They're the holders of the competition, right? I knew that was going to be a tough call there going there. I fancied Newcastle to win that. And it didn't disappoint me. I mean, you know, in terms of putting your shoe back on, getting it done, you know, I've looked at the footage of it. You know, come on, son. He's pulling out these laces and, you know, making it all big and, you know, just get on with it.
It didn't really look as if he was showing much urgency to get it sorted out. And I think that was part of the referee's problem. In the end, he was just like, OK, wave it on. Richarlison and Porro are still sort of arguing about it. But instead of adapting to that situation, they almost sort of neglected the player in the middle of the box. Is that right?
Well, one of the problems you have with footballers sometimes is, particularly if you're the coach or the manager, is when you give them set assignments, particularly set plays, when they have to start thinking for themselves, it becomes a bit of an issue. So you sometimes, when you do those set plays, there is now again in that particular coaching session, you might say, well, look, let's take somebody out. Now what are you going to do? Because now you haven't got a marker. So how are you going to adjust and let them get on with it? That's a kind of coaching trick to come over that kind of issue. That obviously didn't take place because he was unmarked or his Spence's man scored apparently. So, you know, that happens. And unfortunately, you've got to take it on the chin and then go in the press room after and moan about the referee. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good management.
Outrageous. Having to go all the ref all the time. It's just an easy trick.
Yeah.
Distraction technique. Talking of distraction techniques, I wonder whether or not Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and Uli Hoeneß want a bit of a distraction techniques after slagging off Newcastle for spending so much money on Nick Woltemade. 5 goals in his last 7, 6 goals overall. When you're a manager and you've bought in a player like that and people have sort of balked at the price and he starts the way he has and plays the way he does. How much do we pay for him? It will be about 70 million, yeah.
I wish I could have paid 70 million for a striker. Anyway, I love him, and obviously up at Newcastle they love him. He's bought in to the crowd and the environment. He's settled lovely, and he's scored goals. You know, whenever you buy a striker, I always, as soon as a striker come, if ever I bought a striker, I remember buying Ricky Lambert at Southampton. I put him straight on penalties because you got to get him to score. I said, would you take him? Yeah, I'll take him. Great, you're on him. Because that gives them that confidence, and he scored straight away. And that penalty was it 2 weeks ago, where he just walked up to it and smashed it in the top corner. It just shows the confidence the boy's at. I think he'll start for West Germany. Beg your pardon, Germany in the World Cup.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I think he'll have that bigger season at Newcastle.
Well, he's had a brilliant start, and I just think that some of the way he operates is really good. He didn't score too many headed goals, actually. They always tell you, the scouts, and if you watch loads of footage, and I went back and watched most of the sort of involvements that he had last season, a lot of his stuff is technical stuff with his feet. He's so very good his feet. But last night he scored a header. You know, it does help if you're 6'6", doesn't it? Because you don't really have to jump properly. You can just sort of edge it away. Kinski made a mistake, I think, coming in for that and not claiming it. But it's a great advantage to have as well.
Well, of course. And, you know, but Newcastle and Isaac profited it from last year. Love crosses. Eddie's always loved crosses. He's really good at imagination, set plays. So, you know, he's always trying to free someone. And obviously he'd be the main target for most of that kind of attacking play. So he's going to have a nice supply of ammunition to get his goals, and I think he will. I think he'll end up with 20 goals.
Do you know what I think is really interesting is the way that Newcastle have had to adapt, really, because Zack is a different type of player, isn't he? It's completely different the way he wants the ball played into him. He wants to run in behind. Baltimore wants to come short. How do you adapt to that?
But both are very, very good off crosses, whether you're getting behind the defence and putting fast crosses in, or you're coming on the inside and sort of putting them to the far post, which is kind of the two sort of main routes of crosses in the Premier League. And Newcastle are probably one of the best teams in the division at doing that. And they sustain pressure. So after an attack or a cross has gone in, it comes out, they win it back, and they start another attack, and another cross will come in. So that constant bereft of attacking play that they have makes them a real force in the Premier League. And that's why I think even on my show on a Sunday night, I said Newcastle, great chance Champions League again, definitely this year.
Yeah, well, they're a robust team, aren't they? And so are actually a Tottenham Hotspur. Thomas Frank handles himself impressively whenever I speak to him, wherever I see him speaking.
Big fan.
And they were unbeaten away until last night, Alan. They're third in the Premier League. They're joint top scorers. The goals against column has improved immeasurably this season.
Which you would expect after Ange Ball.
Yes. But they have lost a little bit of adventure. And some of that might be down to injuries. And certainly they have got big injuries to key creative talents. No Solanke as well, which has been a bit of a problem. They don't really have a regular focal point. But was it inevitable that it would be a byproduct of the switch from Ange Ball to the style that prioritises a little bit of security, that it was going to be a little bit like this, where it was a little stodgier than last season?
Well, on our Sunday night show with the wonderful Madge that I do.
Big Tottenham fan.
Big Tottenham fan. Obviously, I'm well versed on Spurs. Well, they used to play every Sunday because of Europe last year. So, and the fans didn't particularly enjoy Ange Ball. Let me tell you that now, because obviously they lost most weeks. Lost 22 games last year's season. So I think any kind of football is an up. Is he going to bring a little bit more stability to the team? Of course. Is he a bit more conservative? Well, he's been at Brentford. He knows how to counter-attack. That would be natural for him to sit and counter. So, he has that in the locker. Whether he really kind of gets a team, and if I'm honest, I don't think the top of the pitch is strong enough at Tottenham to really pursue the top four this year. I don't think they're good enough at the top of the pitch.
Are you talking about out-and-out striker or the supply line?
Both. The two wingers and the top of the pitch. I think they're good, but I don't think they're top end. And I think that will stop them getting a Champions League position. So I think this season is very much kind of Thomas getting everything in place, having a really good, strong season. And then hopefully I think he needs to make changes there.
But any sort of improvement on last season, if you're in the top half of the table and you're challenging for European places, he's done a fantastic job. They were 17th last year.
But, if you're sort of implying to me that it's slightly stayed, the football they're playing, that will create a little bit of pressure at home, I think, with that stadium, because it's a magnificent stadium. And sometimes it is short of noise. I mean, Madge moans about it from time to time, that, the kind of the great atmosphere and roar at that stadium can be delivered, but it's just not happening enough times. I don't think he's really got the team to really kind of get that stadium buzzing from week to week to week. I think there'll be ups and downs.
Do you feel, and you've done it, when you move from a club where your reputation is high because you've achieved more than maybe you should do at Reading, you go to a bigger club, West Ham, do you feel like you've got to adapt your style? You can't transport exactly what you had there into the new place. Do you feel a bit of pressure as a manager to show off a little bit and be a bit more progressive?
Well, I don't know about showing off's the right word, but your arrogance and your kind of ego is that you can deal with this new big club, and you might change your style a little bit. We've had many conversations. I've heard so many people talk about, the West Ham way. There's no such thing as the West Ham way. All the pundits saying this and that. But there is a little bit. There's a little bit of history about playing the game in a kind of total Dutch way, in a lesser extent. Those who remember total football do you remember that?
Yes.
You know that term. Okay, I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
If you're how educated.
Rinus Michels and all that?
Correct. And Cruyff, obviously, at the centre.
Yes.
But, let's just go back to West Ham. So, when I went from Reading, I had a really kind of young, nimble, high-energy team, quick in all departments. We could do most things. We could play deep. we could dominate games-ish. When I was at West Ham in the Championship, because they'd been relegated, of course we had to dominate every game. We come up against low block every week, so it was a different agenda. So, of course you have to adjust your style. I think Thomas will adjust his style going to Spurs. I think his ego will be like, I'm going to take my own personal kind of development in terms of a coach and manager to another level. That's what you've got to look at. And I think he's done a great job so far. I think he's probably, with Amrin, the two probably best in the press room. So he can kind of dislodge a bit of pressure by keeping the media at bay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just, sort of have them eating out your hand, give them a line, be a little bit honest with them, and they don't give you as much stick. That's a tactic, is it?
It is a tactic, yeah. Some of the newer coaches struggle in that department, I always think.
Listen, you should be available as a mentor or maybe a consultant.
We're coming on to Martin O'Neill shortly.
We will do. We'll be talking about him very shortly.
I've got some opinions about that.
Have you?
Yeah.
Right, I'm looking forward to it. You listen to talkSPORT. We're going to talk about Spanish football next, so stick with us. It's talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface with Alan Pardew. We're here through till 1 o'clock this afternoon. Let's talk about the fallout from Vinnie Jr.'s outburst at the weekend after being substituted in the Clasico. The great Phil Kitramilidis, La Liga correspondent from CBS Sports, joins us now. Hi, Phil.
Hello, Sam. You all right?
Yes, lovely to see you, mate. It'd be interesting to hear your views on what's happened over the course of the last 72 hours or so, because Vinicius Jr. has now apologised to Real Madrid supporters for his reaction to being substituted in Sunday's fiery El Clasico derby. For those who don't know, just paint the picture of what happened during that victory over Barcelona and why was he taken off?
For those of us who are watching on YouTube, I can gesticulate wildly like a small child, or I can try and describe to everybody listening. Yes, yeah. It was a tantrum. You know, if you've got kids, you've seen this before. It was a small child's tantrum having to do something they don't want to do. And genuinely, I've been in Spain a long time. There are people who've been here a lot longer than me. People have been watching Real Madrid all their lives, and nobody had ever really seen a Real Madrid player react like this to being substituted, just throwing his hands up, angry, gesticulating, screaming, and just sort of stomping off the pitch. It was pretty wild. You mentioned that he apologized to Real Madrid fans. He apologized to basically everyone except the manager. So it was quite a pointed statement he put out yesterday. So I want to apologise to the Madridistas, the Real Madrid fans. I want to apologise to the club. I want to apologise to my teammates. I want to apologise to the president. And he didn't mention I want to apologise to the person he probably disrespected the most, which was Xabi Alonso. So I don't know if we're reading too much into that. I don't think we are, because this is a statement 48 hours or after it's happened. So there's been time for his team to really craft this statement pretty carefully. And so I think that is just another sign that all is not well with Vinicius Jr. and Real Madrid, and particularly the manager.
Yeah, I've had a few incidents myself, subbing players where the Le Sulk has kicked in.
Oh, really?
In a French term, or just getting the ump, etc., etc. I remember, and I apologised to Marlon Airwood. I subbed Marlon when I was West Ham manager after about 22 minutes away at Reading, going back to my old club. So sometimes you do make, as a manager, you do get some things wrong, particularly with subbing people. I actually remember in a game that I put a sub on at half time and he wasn't doing very well, and then I was going to sub him off. And one of my staff members come up and reminded me that I'd put him on at half time. So you do sometimes lose in the fog of the game. I don't actually know the reasons he was taken off. Well, they won the game. I mean, what were the reasons? Was he underperforming? Where was he in the game?
No. He was actually playing really well, which is part of why. Yeah, it was part of why I think he was so frustrated. And also, it's been a slightly frustrating season for him because he hasn't been 100% first choice like he was under Carlo Ancelotti. He was Carlo Ancelotti's guy who protected him, loved him, defended him. Remember, the whole club didn't go to the Ballon d'Or last year because Vinnie Jr. didn't win it. Carlo Ancelotti was going to get Manager of the Year. Real Madrid were going to get Club of the Year. Nobody went because Vinnie Jr. Didn't win it. So he felt really protected by the manager. And now Xabi Alonso's come in and he's a completely different guy. And I'm not saying that he's not been obnoxious or nasty or mean to Vinicius Jr., but Vinicius Jr. obviously doesn't feel the warmth and the protection that he felt with Carlo Ancelotti. So he was playing well in this game. And it was the 72nd minute, I think, and he was substituted for Rodrigo. I mean, it's a relatively understandable change. Okay, he was playing well, but it's the 72nd minute. You're getting subbed for another Brazilian international who maybe defends a little bit better than you do. So, yeah, it was a really unacceptable. You can understand why he's frustrated. You can understand him looking a bit moody, but the level of the reaction from him was way over the top.
Yeah, but it also points to a greater thing, doesn't it? That there's obviously a problem with the manager and the fallout with Xabi Alonso, because Xabi Alonso is trying to do a difficult job here. He's trying to forge a team out of a lot of superstars. There's a lot, especially at the top end of the pitch, there's a lot of characters there that all think they should be the main man. And obviously not everybody can be for the balance of the team. Vinicius Jr., I mean, his form has been okay, but ever since that walkout of the Ballon d'Or, the back end of last season, he wasn't very good, was he?
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's not recovered that level of form that we saw him being touted as being the Ballon d'Or a winner. I mean, it's deeper than this as well, because if we want to look a bit further, we can look at his contractual situation, because his contract runs out in June 2027 and he was supposed to sign a renewal this summer. And it didn't happen. And the club briefed everyone saying, oh, it's okay. There's no problem. We'll just talk again at the end of the season. Well, if there's no problem with one of the biggest players in the world, then you sign a contract now, don't you? You don't let him go into his final year of his contract. So there's obviously an issue there. Vinny's camp and Real Madrid were quite some distance away in terms of the money being asked. Real Madrid are happy for Vinicius to sign that new contract, but that offer isn't going to change. That offer isn't going to get bigger. So I think it's kind of in Vinicius's court what he wants to do when they sit down to negotiate, in theory, in the summer, which is leaving it a bit late for a player of his size.
Looming in the background, though, lots of talk about Saudi Arabia. Obviously, you've mentioned the fact that everybody knows they're negotiating a contract. So is the incident actually a bit more of a green light to other clubs to try and test Real Madrid's resolve?
I mean, he literally said during the outburst, he said, I'm going, I'm leaving. It's better if I just leave. You know, what am I doing here? So, yeah, obviously we're said in the heat of the moment, and he subsequently apologised. But I think this is an issue. And when you have a player of his status who is a few months away from going into the last year of his contract, it's not just Saudi Arabian clubs that are going to be alerted to this. I think you're going to have a lot of big clubs around Europe, PSG, Liverpool, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, a lot of sides thinking, hold on, Vinicius might be available on a free in a year's time. So this is a situation that is going to be monitored closely by major European clubs. Like I said, Real Madrid want to keep him. They want him to sign the contract. It's kind of down to him.
Can I just say, wouldn't it be ironic after all their transfer dealings where they've kind of tapped players up and said, oh, we'll take you on a free transfer, that it happens to them? And I do hope it does happen to them.
I was going to say, actually, the best team at getting players on free transfers are Real Madrid, so they might re-sign him at the end of his contract anyway.
I watched that game, or parts of that game, and Bellingham, wow, what a return to form. And you wonder, you know, when Tuchel left him out, because he played well on the week before, whether that he needed that a little bit. It might have done him good, Bellingham, to have a little kind of rocket.
We're all excited to see what happens when the squad comes out in the next week or so. Meanwhile,
trust me,
Real Madrid are going to claim substantial damages from UEFA after the governing body lost a court appeal related to the failed Super League project of 2021. Just explain to us what this is all about.
I'm going to try, Sam. I'm not a lawyer, but this is a story that's come out this morning that Real Madrid are going to sue UEFA. Wait for it. For 4.5 billion euros.
Wow.
Because of the failed Super League, trying to claim compensation from UEFA because of the failed Super League. Like I said, I am not a legal expert. I don't know the legal basis why Real Madrid can bring this claim and suggest that UEFA blocked the Super League from happening. They didn't. It's EU law, in theory, was breached, and the EU law said UEFA can't have a monopoly on this competition. Fine, but that's not why the Super League failed. The Super League failed because everybody dropped out after 72 hours, and it was just Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Juve left. That's why it failed.
Sounds like a great Super League, doesn't it? Just 3 teams. I'm sure they'll have a great chance of winning it.
Well, it's now just Real Madrid. It's now just Real Madrid left in the Super League, I think. So they've got an excellent chance of winning it. I don't know if they've got an excellent chance of winning this court case against UEFA. It's a big headline figure, isn't it? 4.5 billion euros, and I don't know if it's being done for them to save a little bit of face with this whole project.
But interesting, though, that the European Court of Justice actually ruled that the European Super League, the idea of banning teams from joining it by UEFA was actually unlawful, which meant that there is a sort of scope to organise other competitions for clubs outside UEFA's auspices, which is a little bit of a concern going forward. And I think we should probably keep an eye on that. Phil, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on the programme. It's good to see you as always. That's Phil Kitchener-Melidis, who is a Spanish football expert, La Liga's CBS's La Liga correspondent, also does a brilliant podcast as well. This is Talk Sport with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. We're going to talk Martin O'Neill, and you've got a stat for me that you're going to do a little bit later on as well, aren't you? Which I'm looking forward to. You're going to test my knowledge, you said.
We're kind of working on it.
You're working on it?
On a stat, yeah.
Okay, so it's somebody else.
It's quite complicated.
This is Talk Sport.
last few years, Formula One has gone from elitist and insular to a global entertainment brand. The transformation's down to American investment group Liberty Media, who cultivated a new image for the sport since buying it in 2016. Better access to drivers, improved content on social media and tapping into the US market have given F1 a massive boost in both attention and revenues. But is everyone happy? The fans certainly are, as evidenced by Drive to Survive. Almost 7 million people per season have tuned in to get all the gossip and all the drama from the paddock. The extra exposure means the drivers can demand a higher salary too. In 2010, the top drivers were earning $20 million a year, which isn't bad. But now, the very best earned 3 times that, with Max Verstappen getting a whopping $65 million in 2025. But money doesn't always buy happiness. Some drivers, including Verstappen, don't like the pageantry the changes have brought about. In Las Vegas in 2023, Verstappen said the drivers were made to look like clowns, and the event was 99% performance and 1% race. Some purists who still watch the sport feel the same, and that the spirit of competition has suffered. But Formula One and Liberty Media don't look like slowing down anytime soon. So expect more races, major events and exclusive access in future.
talkSPORT, Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew here through till 1 o'clock today, in for Jim and Simon, and it's time to catch up with the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And we're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM to look ahead to this weekend's top sporting events and discuss the latest odds. Hi, Gibbo. You all right, mate?
Very good, lads. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. A big night in the Carabao Cup last night. Victories for Arsenal, for Newcastle, for Chelsea, and for Crystal Palace. So what has that done to the Carabao Cup odds that Liverpool are out of the competition?
Yeah, I mean, this time yesterday we had Liverpool's market favourites at 4-1. They obviously crashed out last night. Lots have been discussed about Slot's team selection. I think ultimately whether he's right or wrong will be proven on the weekend, right? They face Villa at home, and then they've got Madrid, and then they've got City. So maybe giving his first team as a bit of a blow and kind of losing the Carabao Cup. The Carabao Cup game might be a good thing, but ultimately time will tell. Elsewhere, Newcastle win the BetMGM derby. Obviously, proud partners are both Newcastle and Spurs. Voltemada on target again. He is certainly proving he's worth his money. Dan Towles was really happy about the Newcastle game. Sam, just to let you know, I saw him this morning.
Was he? I saw one of the other boys there last night. I think I saw one of the other boys from BetMGM last night at Newcastle. I didn't see Dan in his Newcastle scarf though, which is a surprise because he's been carrying it around like a lucky charm.
Exactly, on Zoom this morning, flying the black and white as he's defected from Brighton's result yesterday. Listen, the quarterfinal draw has been done. Plays around 15th of December, something like that. You can't really look past Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Newcastle, can you? Sam, as a Chelsea fan, I think maybe domestically you've left yourself a wee bit much to do to threaten the title. A top 6 finish in the Premier League and a Carabao Cup. Are you happy with that, or do you need more from your return on investment?
Well, everyone's going to be suspended, aren't they, by the time we get there?
Yeah, another.
I actually saw a list yesterday. Get this. This is not a joke, right? I think I saw a list last night of the players that would be suspended if they picked up a yellow card in the quarter-final for the next round of the competition, and it's massive. It's ridiculous the amount of players they've got on a yellow card. So if they get booked in the quarterfinals, that they'll miss the semi-finals. Caicedo, Delap, George, Esteval, Jorgensen, Enzo Fernandez, Andre Santos. Usually it's one or two, but Chelsea seem to have a little bit of a discipline issue, which is going to be a problem for them. Look, I think they have to win. They don't have to win a trophy. I think it'd be good for them to back up the success of last season and win a trophy. Who are your favourites for the Carabao Cup now?
Newcastle.
Are they? You think they'll retain it?
Yep.
Only 2 teams have retained it since 1990.
I just think that, the memory is so strong. It was such a massive sort of day out for the Geordies that they want to replicate it. And I think they can. I think they've got the team to do it and the managers to do it.
What are the odds on them back-to-back successes?
Yeah, 11-2 for Newcastle, fourth in the bet. In the other favourites, as discussed, a wee bit short. Both Arsenal and City at 9-4, but I think they're right in a title race, those two, aren't they? So maybe someone like a Chelsea at 9-2 or Newcastle at 11-2. Maybe that's the value bet.
Martin O'Neill back in the Celtic dugout last night. I listened to his interview after the game last night. We're going to discuss that a little bit later on. But 4-0 winners against Falkirk. Does that mean that their price has changed to lift the Scottish Premiership ahead of Hearts, or are Hearts still favoured by the bookies? What's the situation?
The thing is, we never really had Hearts as favourites. Celtic were 3-5 earlier in the week. They're now a little bit shorter at around about 1-2. Hearts bigger price at 9-4. Rangers 7-1. Probably won't get there for the title, but undoubtedly they'll have a say in who wins what in Scotland. Martin having an immediate effect, 4-0 win. I think that's their Celtic's joint biggest win of the season. And then obviously, as well as the title prices, the prices for the next manager. Martin is still in contention at 11-1 to be given the job permanently, but Bucky's favourite, Kieran McKenna, 13-20. Robbie Keane's come smashing in. He was 6-1 yesterday morning into 7-2. Obviously, the goal with Celtic every year is to win the Scottish Premiership. Like they have to, don't they? If you're a Celtic fan, lads, you've got Kieran McKenna, who done exceptionally well with Ipswich, had a tough season last year. You've got Robbie Keane, who was on loan at Celtic, 16 appearances, 12 goals by my maths. Who you wanting to get over the line and close this gap and ultimately secure the title in Scotland? Who you wanting as a fan to do that?
Alan Pardew,
next Celtic manager.
Yeah.
Well, they could do a lot worse than just keep him Martin for the rest of the year, in my opinion. I think, but I do think it's kind of a tough one. If I was Kieran at Ipswich, would I leave to go to Celtic when Hearts, backed by Tony Bloom, with all that infrastructure that he possesses and got them going?
Celtic, though, isn't it? I mean, could you turn that down? Look at Martin. I mean, he would never have gone back anywhere else. But I mean, the idea of
I know about that.
He's already saying, I don't want to be there forever and all that kind of stuff. But it changes you.
Yeah, of course. That phone call would have, kind of taken him to somewhere that he wasn't expecting to go, in terms of emotionally. But it's fantastic for him. And I do think that, the senior managers get kind of discarded in this country. As I say, I was with the event last night, Steve Bruce there, Alan Kervishley, amongst others, Roy Hodgson, never get utilised. No, they don't use their experience. No clubs ask them for guidance or consult them in any shape or form. So there's so much kind of knowledge wasted. It's a shame, really. But it's nice to see that Martin's got this gig, and I think he'll do really well. And he proved it last night. I think his interview after it is saying about, he just relied on experience and brought some motivation to the group, etc., etc. But, he knows what he's doing. He's been there enough times to know what to do in that dressing room, get the environment quickly, and just adjust it where he thinks it needs it.
By the way, if anyone does need a manager, 03717 223344, we'll pass on the contact details of Alan Pardew. Rugby Autumn Internationals. England's opening autumn test against Australia is Saturday. Ireland hosts New Zealand. What are the odds?
It's interesting you just mentioned that, Sam. The last person I talked to about the Celtic job was actually Martin O'Neill on Monday. So maybe
anything can happen. Once you come into this studio, the world is your oyster, especially if you're an ex-manager.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some great rugby as well over the weekend. Ireland take on New Zealand in Chicago. For my man, I can't work out why it's there, but it is. Ireland are outsiders at 13-8. All Blacks obviously favourites 21-50. Then over here, England Australia again. I can't work out the prices here, fellas. England 27-100 favourites. Australia massive price at 5-2, considering they won with a last minute try last year, 42-37 at Twickenham. So maybe I don't often tip up against my own club or country, but maybe Australia at 5-2 is a big price. If you're back in Northern Hemisphere rugby, England and Ireland double is just under 5-2 at 23-10.
Top work. Thank you very much. That was a look at the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Didn't you get Eddie Jones in to do a team talk once?
No, he comes to the training ground. And I went to watch the rugby boys and shared some information. No, great guy, Eddie. I really like him.
Do you like your rugby?
Love rugby union, and obviously the autumn internationals just about to get on going, and England are very, very strong in on paper, which we are a little bit with the English football team on paper, which seems to be very good. So let's hope the results follow.
Okay, talking of England on paper, you wanted to ask me something, or you wanted to give us a stat.
Yeah, so we were talking about earlier about the Wolves, saying I was talking to you about British players in the group.
Because you were upset about the fact they didn't have too many English players.
Correct, and the British player involvement starting in the Premier League last year was 26%. Last week, was 26%. And that's where we are. That's British players, not English players. So it just goes to show you every year that is reducing quite dramatically, actually. It's beginning to be a bit of a worry and a concern, I should think, particularly for Thomas Tuchel.
Yes, he actually mentioned it in the last international break, suggesting that there was only, I think at that time, 24% of starters qualified for England. And he was sort of almost charging players within those clubs at Premier League level, people coming through, people in sort of like the fringes of the first team, to push their way to the front of the queue. The more you can get playing Premier League football, he felt, the better it would be for the England team. I think it was hovering around about 30% at one stage during Gareth's tenure, and it has dropped again to 24% this time around. Does that concern you, or actually does it prove that in order to be in those teams, you have to be very, very good and at a top level in order to be able to play Premier League football?
Well, there's two or three things that really worry me where we currently are. One is academy players being, not showing pure profit in terms of the rules if you sell them. So now we got young players jumping to big clubs maybe before they're ready, and therefore then stuck.
Being traded like commodities rather than footballers.
They're getting traded like a commodity, and then, of course, when they get to this bigger club, there's even less chance of them playing a first-team game. So now they're stuck. So that's a bit of an issue. We always have a kickback whenever you, as a British person, coach, manager, if you ever say, we should have some kind of figure about how many players there should be in a squad or how many should start a game, you're always going down a road which is going to get kickbacks from the big clubs. We do understand that this is the best league in the world. It's the most competitive league in the world. It's the richest league in the world. So therefore, it is very, very difficult to get a first team slot. But the road we're on at the moment is concerning.
There is also the other caveat to that, and the fact that a lot of players are now going abroad to get first-team football. Jamie Gittings, Madueke, Bellingham, Sancho all went from these shores to go and play first-team football in the Bundesliga and beyond. And then
which is
some of them have come back.
Yeah,
and you've got Kane, Rashford.
I've got no problem with that at all.
Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, got no problem with our players starting, because actually we've always had a problem with coaches and managers too to work abroad. So actually for English players to kind of carry the flag abroad, I'm all for that. But I'm just a little bit concerned. Well, I say a little bit, I'm very concerned. And that rule about academy players definitely needs to change.
Well, that money going onto the bottom of the balance sheet straight away, pure profit if you sell an academy player.
Correct, because you're asking for the big clubs to trade with each other over young players to fit their financial rules, and that's what they've been doing. No doubt about that.
This is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew. We're here through to 1 o'clock this afternoon with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew. We're here right the way through till 1 o'clock this afternoon. And we don't have Martin O'Neill with us for the foreseeable future because he is otherwise engaged. He's the manager of Celtic again for the first time in 20 years. It's great to see him last night get a victory over Falkirk. We were talking to the guys at BetMGM about senior managers being discarded. You said senior managers are often overlooked now. Do you think that the football's a bit snobbish in that regard, or is it the fact that younger managers are just cheaper?
Oh, I don't think they're cheaper because obviously we're getting world-class coaches coming in from, around the world. If you win the league in Portugal, there's a good chance you're going to end up here in a Premier League job. But I do think that they're underutilised. I remember when I was at Reading, the owner there thought I should have some experience because I was just reserve team manager and I took over the role at a club that were, the ambition was to go to the Premier League. And Maurice Evans was there, and he brought him in, brilliant mentor for me. And I remember, I'd been there a little while, and then we're starting this new season, and he just gave me, I could just show one of the nuggets that he gave me. He said, "Write your team up on the board." So I wrote the team up on the board, and he said, "Now put the goals next to the names how many goals you think they're going to get in this season under you." So I read it all up, and then he said, "Well, you ain't got enough goals to win the league or go up. There's just not enough goals, even though you've just said that's exactly what they're going to get. So how are you going to get promoted?" And then I realised I needed to get another striker in pretty quickly.
Straight onto the show.
Yeah, straight on. But, what I'm saying is that there is a lot, I think, where clubs are nervous, whether they're nervous of bringing in somebody like Steve Bruce or myself or Roy Hodgson or something, where they think they might put pressure on the manager who's incumbent at the time is another issue. But certainly, I know from a fact my involvement in the LMA and everything else that really it's zero that we get kind of pulled in to have any kind of using our knowledge, so to speak.
Is that a waste of resource?
I think so, a little bit, yeah. Even like at junior levels, for example, if somebody rung up, I'm pretty sure in saying this, I don't want to talk about myself, but someone rang up and said, "Oh, Steve Bruce, for example, could you come in and have a look at our academy? Just give us a little opinion about the coaching, the levels we're at, and da-da-da-da-da." I think you would love that, jump at that, probably do it for zero.
Do you think they don't do that because they are blinded by the fact that since 2010, everything's been about UEFA AB pro licenses and everybody's got to be from this new generation of coaches to progress the game? Or do you think that are they a little bit sort of judging on reputation or narratives that surround some managers?
Well, of course, there's always that. But, look at the current themes that we're talking about in the Premier League at the moment, set plays and long throws, etc., etc. I mean,
I'm surprised Tony Pulis hasn't been hired by someone as a set-piece coach.
Well, my point exactly. Mick McCarthy, another one. They do a pass together. Tony's quite good, actually. Tony and Mick McCarthy. Probably shouldn't say that because it's not a talkSPORT one. Anyway, but the point I'm making is that so much kind of knowledge and information that really could help clubs, particularly in recruitment, I think, as well. I've had the odd owner ring me, think about, ask my opinion of their recruitment, who they're thinking of, what my opinion of that would be. But not often you get that kind of call.
Would you like to go back and be involved in a club in some way, shape or form? Maybe not necessarily full-time, but maybe as an advisor or a mentor or...
Well, I think, when you see that the opportunities are not there, it's a little bit downhearting to a degree. I enjoy the media and I like doing this particular show that I have on Sunday with Madge. You would never say never. I mean, the excitement that Martin must have felt, because obviously, he was kind of, and you could tell he was happy doing the media. He was enjoying it, and you could see that in the way he worked across it. But it's brilliant that he got that call. I'm absolutely delighted for him. And I'm talking about an ex-Sunderland manager here. I never thought I would say those words. But there you go. I really hope he does well. Brilliant result last night.
Well done to him. Yeah. And his interview afterwards, and we mentioned it beforehand, the way he plays a sort of self-deprecating role and sort of talks about his anxiety and this.
But I thought it was a great move by the owner because actually now it gives him time to get the right manager. Do you know, it just important. Buys you a bit of time. And Martin, he's quite happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Martin gave them a service or changed the oil or just got a different car altogether, but Celtic certainly accelerated to a half-time lead. They were 2-0 up at the break. And I think really good that a couple of the new signings scored goals in the second half as well. Lots to come. We've got boxing after 12:30 to get our teeth into, and a lot more besides. Stick with us.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 1 minute past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. talkSPORT's Adrian Durham is growing tired of Arne Slot's excuses.
He's picked a team that wasn't competitive in any way in that game, and they didn't have anything on the bench. The big players were left at home. He didn't leave them out the 11 and put them on the bench. He left them at home. That's on him.
After Crystal Palace won 3-0 at Anfield in the Carabao Cup, Slot defended all the changes, saying he didn't want his first-team players being overworked. Alan Pardew thinks it could be psychological.
He might just look at Van Dijk and a few of them and gone, right, you're having a night off. And I think it's more of a mental rest than a physical rest or a work-related rest. I think it's just genuinely, let's take him out of the picture, let him have a night off.
Liverpool will try and avoid losing their 6th domestic game in a row at home to Aston Villa, and that's live on talkSPORT on Saturday night. Now, Michelle Adjumang will miss the rest of the season after tearing her ACL. The England striker went down off the ball in the friendly with Australia. Adjumang promises to be back stronger. Paul Scholes has explained why we're not seeing him on TV this season. He's taken a step back from punditry to better fit in with the routine of his severely autistic son. Scholes co-parents 20-year-old Aidan and hopes sharing all this can help other families in a similar situation. And 38-year-old Amir Khan has confirmed to talkSPORT he wants a fight with 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao, in my opinion, is probably the same level where we were both retired around the same time. It was a fight that was talked about a very long time ago. It never happened, and looking for an opponent, so I thought, why not?
More live boxing for you coming up. Joshua Buatsi versus Zack Parker for the WBO International Light Heavyweight title is live on talkSPORT 2 on Saturday evening.
talkSPORT News.
An Afghan migrant's appeared in court over a triple stabbing in London that's left one man dead, and Richard Branson says he's ready to shake up train services to the continent. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Whatever the weather, our range of services is longer than the queue at the Chippy on a Friday night. Tyres, MOTs, brakes and more. Book today at quickfit.com.
Dry, bright and chilly for most of us, turning increasingly cloudy from the west. Rain arriving and becoming windy as well. Coastal gales in many western areas.
Hello everyone, it's talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface with Alan Pardew today, and it's time now for a roundup of some of today's top football, top business stories with Tesco Mobile for Business.
Business briefing on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Got a side hustle as a Pilates instructor? Stretch your budget with business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big three networks. For verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
Well, it might be that West Ham United have to do a lot of business in the January transfer window. They have 4 points, 1 win in 10, and go to second place Bournemouth at the weekend. Then they play Liverpool, Manchester United, Brighton, Villa and Manchester City before Christmas. How much trouble are West Ham United in, Alan?
Well, according to the fans that I bump into around London, in a terrible place. I mean, when you look at the stats, their goal difference is minus 13, which is the worst in the division. That doesn't bode well. They didn't get the new manager bounce, which I think they was expecting. So there's a real problem over there. The fans are starting to get kind of unconnected with the board. I think the manager they're happy with. They're probably now looking at the board and the playing staff and saying, well, what are we going to do? And that is definitely where they are right now.
You and I talked a little bit about the team's selection during the last week. Monday nights was a little bit strange. Friday nights was almost like a replica of that with 1 or 2 changes to that team. But still, they didn't start with a recognised striker. When I spoke to him afterwards, Nuno Espirito Santo, he said, we've got a lot of problems in our club, unfortunately, that we need to fix. What does he mean by that?
Well, I think when you go into a football club and you don't start well, you start kind of looking at the problems rather than looking at the solutions. When I think back to my time at West Brom, it was very, very difficult. I couldn't see a route out, and I hope Nuno doesn't get stuck in that, because that's a real negative cycle. There is obviously issues. That's why they're down the bottom of the division. When I look at them, they just look a bit ponderous. There doesn't look enough energy in the team. There doesn't look enough pace in the team. Set plays and the goalkeeper, it looks a little bit uncertain. So there's a lot of problems.
Which is a big problem in this league. If you've got problems defending set pieces, the way the league has gone, the trend is that so many other teams have sort of maximised their efforts from set pieces. That's going to be an issue for them.
I mean, the fixture list coming up doesn't bode well either. It looks, a really tough call now. And if you don't get to, I don't know, if you don't get to Boxing Day, I always think if you get to Boxing Day and you got 12 points, you're in big trouble. And I look at what they got coming up, maybe they're not going to make it.
So the transfer window comes up in January. I don't know how much money they'll have to spend, but they've got to do a lot of business during that period. The Lucas Paqueta sort of saga keeps rolling on. It was suggested last week, this week, that he's keen to leave the club in January. Is it now at a point where you think actually probably best that we cash in on this fella and raise enough money to be able to then go back into the market and replenish this squad? Is that a sensible business decision at this point?
I think so, because when I see him play, I mean, obviously he's a gifted individual, and his gifts are to create something out of nothing. Is there enough in him to dig me out of getting out of the relegation zone? Is there enough belief in him that he would fight tooth and nail to keep West Ham in that division, in the type of player he is? I'd wonder about that. I think it's natural for that type of player to be inconsistent anyway, because that's the type of, he's a gambler as a footballer. He's taking those risks. I think that's probably the kind of educated move to get a big fee for him off a big club and utilise that money to get a stronger team, i.e. use that money to strengthen maybe 2, even 3 positions you could possibly do.
But you can't really write off the next 4 or 5 weeks before you get to that stage, can you? You've got to try and dig in somehow and get points. How does Nuno Espirito Santo do that, bearing in mind, it felt to me a little bit, and I don't know if I'm right here, that he was almost testing the squad over the course of the last week or so, throwing in players that have had to play out of position or turning around to players who had underperformed and said, I'll give you another go and see what you can do. Leaving the summer signings, and so many of them on the bench, also felt like a little bit of a message to the board. You didn't do a great job recruiting in the summer.
Well, I mean, that's starting to look like business that hasn't been great. I mean, the window is going to be so important because, I remember at Newcastle when we got in difficulty and we went big in a January window, and it got us out of a big hole at Newcastle. We ended up having a great team. It was a great window. So it's possible that West Ham can do that. I look at the team. I understand your point. I think as a manager sometimes, because you've not done a pre-season with the team and you haven't seen them in the first team, sometimes you're looking at players in training and thinking, oh, well, actually, I know he's not done so great over the management before, but he might be all right for me. He looks great. And then you put him in and okay, now I understand why he wasn't getting the game. That he has to go through that process, which I think he is going through. And at some point, he's going to go, right, okay, with this period we got coming up, which is a really, as I said to you, a really important period for West Ham between now and Boxing Day, that they get kind of 8 or 9 points under their belt quickly.
Where are they going to get those from?
Well, that's what they're going to need to get, really, to give themselves a realistic chance in that window of changing things around and getting the wins they need in the second half.
Are you concerned that next season they're going to be playing in the Championship?
I am concerned. I don't think they will. I think I like the manager. I think he's an experienced manager. I've always liked him. I think they've got to do a number of new recruits in January. I do. I can't see them. If they go with that team that they've got at the moment, I'll be very surprised if they survive.
Yeah, well, he wants to sign a striker and a defender, but West Ham, it's suggested, are about to announce losses for last season. That may result in a need to generate funds before they go and spend more money in January. Well, that might force their hand in terms of Paqueta and maybe 1 or 2 others as well. That was a roundup of football's top business stories with Tesco Mobile for Business.
Business Briefing on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Got a side hustle as a Pilates instructor? Stretch your budget with business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big three networks. For verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
Today sees talkSPORT Daily podcast take over as Flex, former England striker Darren Bent, and sports fashion writer Daniel Miller bring you a very special episode discussing the influence of black culture, fashion and music and what it's had on modern day football. Let's hear about some of the early influences Benty had in football.
Growing up in Thornton Heath, Croydon, watching football, Ian Wright was my first hero. But then at the end of my road was a guy called Bruce Dyer. Do you remember him? Played for Barnsley, played for Palace. And he was the first kind of footballer I managed to speak to, like face to face. Like, I remember saying, oh my goodness, Bruce Dyer's getting into his house. And he spent 5-10 minutes with me talking to me. He was like, can you watch my car for me? Make sure no one takes my car. He was cool. And then I remember where I used to get my hair cut in Garrett Lane in Wandsworth. My dad was like, listen, there's a footballer back there. I've asked if it's okay if you go in there and speak to him. And he said, yeah. And it was Clinton Morrison.
So really? Yeah, so even Uncle Clint was like, before you, like...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Clinton Morrison was in the back of the barbershop. He was like, yeah, come in. I remember him speaking to me about don't give up, keep working hard. This is before I turned pro.
I was going to say, what would you do, 17?
So, no, because I was in the first team at 17. So it would have been, I would have been about 13, 14. And like going to speak to him and he gave me words of advice. So I'd say that those three, like Ian Wright was my hero and he remains that way. But Clinton Morrison and Bruce Dyer were the first kind of black footballers that I met and I was like, oh my goodness, these guys are successful and they're on TV. So that had a big impact on me.
If you want to hear more, then this special episode of the talkSPORT Daily podcast is available on all podcast platforms now.
Can I ask quickly, was that about style as well? Did style got mentioned, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to ask Darren Bent about style. I mean, that it really is not his game.
You don't think style's his game?
No, I've seen some outfits he wore when I was at Charlton. He used to come in. I was like, wow. What are you going for there? We had to have some serious conversations.
Did you?
Yeah.
He's massive.
I love Darren.
He's massive in the sneaker world.
Yeah, he's a big sneaker fan.
Yes, he loves collecting.
But he was right in having Ian Wright as his hero. What a great spot, because I know Ian's like now known as kind of like a pundit, and his playing career obviously is this and that. But obviously, when I went to Crystal Palace, he was just a young man who was just exuberant. I mean, that's the only word I could use. He was unbelievable presence in the dressing room.
But he's still like that. He's still infectious. He's still got that exuberance. He still brings joy. When he walks into a room, everybody knows that he's there, and everyone wants to be around him. He is magnetic, isn't he?
He is, and I've always said this. And in terms of dressing room behaviour, he was probably the best I've ever seen in a dressing room. Forget about how he played. He was brilliant in the dressing room. Apart from when we played Newcastle in the FA Cup. Where we used to have a little tipple, like I would take a little tipple of the, to give you a bit of bravery. The old kit man.
That really happened?
Yeah, that really happened. But he had like 3 or 4. He's completely drunk. Right? I mean, he had the worst half of football he'll ever have. And
so
we got beat 1-0 actually, but Gaza scored.
What did you do at half time? Black coffee, sober him up?
Tried to sober him up, yeah. Like, what are you doing? Right. It's all over the place. Yeah.
That was early 90s, late 80s?
That would have been about 91, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, Gaza got an amazing goal for Newcastle.
I'm surprised you remember it.
Yeah.
This is talkSPORT. Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew. We're here till 1 o'clock. The boys taking day from 1 this afternoon. Remember, live football this weekend, Liverpool against Aston Villa. Massive, massive game for Liverpool. It's only on talkSPORT. It's our biggest competition yet, and time is running out. There's just 1 week to go until lines close for your chance to play and to win up to £100,000. Yes, that's £100,000 completely tax-free. If you're the lucky winner getting the call next Thursday, you'll be heading to talkSPORT Towers on Thursday the 13th of November for that life-changing cash prize. Here is how to enter, and good luck.
18 plus UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission, or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by the 6th of November at 4 p.m. This is a TalkSPORT limited promotion run on TalkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
What is the value of experience in the Premier League? Chelsea, obviously, with a very, very young team, the youngest average age team in the Premier League, had 3 teenage goal scorers score in the Champions League not so long ago.
Hence the undiscipline, by the way.
Yeah, well, that could be a contributing factor, couldn't it? But then you look at some of the other teams and they've started to lean a little bit more on experience. In fact, England have lent on Jordan Henderson. So Brentford, obviously. James Milner's playing for Brighton. Seamus Coleman has played minutes this season for Everton. Dubravka at Burnley is 36, nearly 37. Kyle Walker is playing there too. Kieran Trippier is 35. Danny Welbeck, 34, and is going great guns for Brighton. And 6 years ago on Monday, Granit Xhaka, who's now at Sunderland, was substituted by Unai Emery during a game between Arsenal and Crystal Palace and responded to the jeers from the Arsenal fans by swearing and gesticulating as he trudged from the pitch. Fast forward, he has now covered more ground than any other player in the Premier League this season. He's 33. He's the fulcrum of the midfield for Sunderland, who have only conceded 7 goals and are up in the top European places of the Premier League. Why is experience now being valued again?
All I'm saying is being valued again. I think the guys you're picking out there are players who have done exceptionally well, Xhaka in particular. And that stat is a real credit to him. I mean, that I wouldn't have expected to have seen that. You would expect a young player to have that kind of number back to their name. So outstanding effort by him and by Sunderland, by the way. Actually, under resources, I've got a top 3. Do you want to hear what it is?
Go on.
Under the resources I think they're under, i.e. managers and what they've got in the dressing room, I've got Bournemouth at number 1, Palace at number 2, and Sunderland at number 3. From an ex-Arsenal manager, that's not bad, is it?
Yeah, not too bad at all. And if you look at all those 3 teams, Bournemouth have got the likes of Adam Smith doing the rounds, very experienced players, been through the league, knows the intricate seams of the club. You look at Palace, you've had for a very long time Joel Ward there. Now Nathaniel Klein is sort of still part of that dressing room.
Yes, very much so.
There's very much a sort of continuation of the experience there. And the last team that you mentioned was Sunderland. We've already mentioned Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a manager and you want to get your message across, so you go to your lieutenants, and they're usually the senior players who are playing. If senior players are not playing, can be a bit of an issue because obviously they can become counterproductive to what you want to achieve sometimes. But if you've got one on side and they're giving you everything, and obviously Xhaka's doing that at the moment, and Maguire's doing it at Man United. He comes in, doesn't moan if he doesn't get picked, just comes on and does the job, or when he starts, never lets them down. You know, these players are so important in terms of their leadership skills and, of course, their experience. It's very important.
Fabian Schär scored last night for Newcastle United, 33 years of age. We mentioned Jordan Henderson, who is going to be 36 by the time we get to the World Cup. Can you understand why Thomas Tuchel has integrated him back into the squad?
Yeah, I said it at the time. You know, he's a player that, you know, you could put into any equation. If he was pushing a game, you would put him on. If he was trying to seal a game off, you would put him on because the experience would know what to do. And sometimes, you know, in the heat of the battle, you want somebody who's used to it, can cope with it. There's not a risk. And obviously, the kind of rhythms that go through dressing rooms, just keeping the rhythm nice. Senior players do that. That's what they're really good at. They keep young players, their egos in place. You know, they're kind of like massaging the whole spectrum. And obviously your coach as a manager will do that as well.
And useful for someone like Keith Andrews as a young manager at Brentford to have him in the dressing room as well.
Well, of course. And I mean, what an outstanding job he's done, by the way, in terms of his first games in the Premier League. I just think it's great that, throughout the Premier League or before that in the First Division, senior players play such a great role. And of course, then there becomes that tipping point when the leg's not quite there and the energy is not quite there and that's very, particularly when you've been really tight to pick for it to individuals. I remember Malky Mackay, who did brilliant for me. But there was a point where I had to sort of say, sorry, big fella,
It's come to an end. I always find it fascinating. I go back to sort of the early 2000s. I was down in Portsmouth and Paul Merson came into the dressing room when Harry Redknapp took over there and he was brilliant. He was absolutely
played against that team.
The key to that team getting promoted, and he was absolutely superb. But it was a one-season thing. And at the end of that season, he was off. Next season, Harry brought in Teddy Sheringham. And Teddy was, again, absolutely sensational. Got a hat-trick in one of the first home games against Bolton, sent Portsmouth top of the league briefly.
Just going back, got an interesting point about it, because I've signed Teddy from Harry.
Yeah, because at the end of that season, that was it.
Yeah.
Again, gone. Yeah. One-season thing.
And I want to give you, because we were talking about substitutions earlier when people have a Soul Cup.
Yeah.
I remember subbing Teddy, right? And I always thought to myself, I don't know where he's going to be when, because he's of an experienced player, been, and a legend.
Lovely guy.
Legend.
Lovely guy.
And Ted used to walk towards me and he would be looking at me as if to say, what are you doing? that would be the look. He never went to the crowd, never played a part. He just looked at me, just to let me know.
Understated.
Okay. I'll get you. Yeah, okay. You're wrong, but I'm coming on. Yeah.
I didn't see him furious very often. It was only actually the last day when he just found out he wasn't going to get a contract extension. I think he felt as if he had been promised one, and it was gonna come to an end. And he was cross that.
Why was you close to that situation?
I was working in Portsmouth at the time as sports editor of a radio station in Portsmouth. I had the rights to the Portsmouth Football Club.
Okay.
And I spent literally every day at the training ground. I was just there.
You was the little pest.
I was the pest
on the sideline.
I was the annoying one.
Yeah. It was a great spell, though, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable. It was a dream. It was a dream time to be involved with that football club.
I took my Reading team there. I had a really good Reading team. We got really battered. Yeah. Yeah, we're a very good team.
You weren't. No, that wasn't you. That was somebody else. The record score, of course, in the Premier League is 7-4, and that was at Portsmouth. That was after I'd left, so that was well after that. But that was a terrific game. Right, okay. I think I remember that game. Was it a Bank Holiday Monday?
Might have been.
Yeah, I think it might have been. Anyway, moving on. This is talkSPORT. We're going to do boxing from 12:30 with Spence Oliver, who's coming on from Manchester.
Good old Spence.
Big light heavyweight fight this weekend, and we'll cover all of it in the next few moments. You're listening to talkSPORT. Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew. We're here right the way through until 1 o'clock with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
boxing. It's a sport that makes multi-millionaires out of the world's best fighters, but it's not as flush with cash as you'd think. We all see how much the likes of Tyson Fury or Canelo Alvarez make every fight, but that's not the case for those just starting out, or those who aren't even at that level. For example, if you've just turned pro and don't have a promoter, you have to sell your own tickets, cover the cost of the venue yourself, and pay the tax man at the end of it. You might not even break even, but if you do, you're looking at 5 to 10 grand max. A mid-tier fighter might make more like 10 to 50 grand, but you still have to give up half of that in costs. So unless you're fighting for a world title, it's tough to make money. One potential way of doing it, though, is being a journeyman. Here's former European champion talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver explaining how that could work.
They want to fight every week, and they can be going in against the prospects, so they can demand good money, and they might be demanding like 5 grand, 10 grand for a 6-rounder or something because they're going in with a prospect. He gets through that, the journeyman gets through that fight, and he can fight again next week.
I mean, even so, it's not much, and you're getting punched in the face for a job. It's only really at the top level, i.e. fighting for titles, where you're earning up to 6 figures and can afford a diamond chain or that Ferrari. So boxing isn't a sport that allows you to retire at 40 and live a life of luxury. Much like a lot of other sports and jobs in general, it takes an awful lot of luck quite early in your career to really make it worth your while.
It's the first one after a loss to Smith.
Buatsi! He stunned Callum Smith! Can you believe it?
I think it was turning a new leaf, and it's who you're going to go with.
Really good work here from Buatsi. Oh, it's brave from Joseph, but he walks into one there.
Been waiting for a big fight. You don't get much bigger than this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zack!
Parker looking for the finish. Big punches going in. Nothing coming back. Parker looking to finish this fight here.
A lot on the line. Whoever wins probably goes for a world title.
For me, it's important to prove that actually I can bounce back from a loss. I will show myself on November the 1st.
It's talkSPORT. This Saturday, we bring you more live boxing. Joshua Buatsi faces Zack Parker for the WBO International Light Heavyweight title at the Co-op Live Arena in Manchester. Our expert boxing team have been keeping you right across a busy fight week. Don't forget you can watch along with us on the night over on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. That's Joshua Buatsi versus Zack Parker this Saturday, 7:30 on the talkSPORT network, or watch live on DAZN. Let's speak to Spencer Oliver, our fight pundit, who joins us live now from Manchester. Very good afternoon to you, Spence. Lovely to see you, mate.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Yeah, we've just arrived here at the press conference waiting for the guys all to turn up here. Joshua Buatsi looking to get back to winning ways after that defeat to Callum Smith back in April. But he's got a tough one against Zack Parker, who's had a really good rebuild since that loss to John Ryder back in 2022. He's been on a surge of wins, and it's a real crossroads fight for both of these guys to get back in the world mix.
Yeah, 4 in a row for Zack Parker since that defeat to Ryder back, as you say, 2.5-3 years ago. But since Joshua Buatsi has now lost his undefeated record, does it give him a little bit more licence to be a bit freer, to take more risks, or does the pressure to avoid a second straight defeat weigh heavy on his shoulders, do you think?
Oh no, the pressure towards a second defeat weighs heavily on his shoulders. Of course it does. Like, he needs the victory here, Joshua Buatsi, to keep his name in the mix, you know. Look at Anthony Yard, who's boxing for the world title out in Saudi Arabia on November the 22nd against Benavidez, and you look at that and you go, you know, he's kicking on now. And Buatsi, if he wants to keep those world title dreams alive, he has to win here against Zack Parker. But it's a tough fight, a real 50-50. And the reasons being, we don't know what that last fight against Callum Smith took out of Joshua Buatsi. It was hard, it was grueling, and very character testing as well. And but we will find out when he goes in here on Saturday night. It's a great fight.
It's a great fight, but it's a crossroads fight, isn't it, for both of them? Buatsi's 32, Parker 31. The loser faces a very long road back to a world title shot, while the winner is right back in the mix. Who do you think's actually got the more to lose here?
Well, I think they both have, really. I think if you want to keep those world title dreams, those world title aspirations alive, then you need a victory here. Because as you pointed out there, you know, neither guy is getting any younger. And that rebuild, and if you look at the light heavyweight division, not just on the global scene, but in this country as well, it's stacked with names out there. So the winner, you know, it is a must-win fight for both of these guys because it is a long road back. And at this stage of their careers, you go, where's the appetite? Is there an appetite? I think it's a career-defining fight for both of these.
Buatsi obviously will have his eyes firmly fixed on that fight that you talked about. Anthony Yarde is going to take on David Benavidez for the WBC world title on November the 22nd in Riyadh. Can he afford to look ahead to a world title shot? Can he afford to start thinking about what happens next? Or is he just got to really focus on what happens here this weekend?
Joshua Buatsi has to focus on Zack Parker and Zack Parker only. Forget what's going on, you know, around the light heavyweight division globally in this country. It's a must-win fight for Buatsi. You know, he was highly touted as a guy that was going to go on and win world honours. He's a former Olympic bronze medalist, and it's been a bit of a slow burner for him, but he's overcome every obstacle that's ever been put in front of him. He lost last time out to Callum Smith in a memorable fight, an unbelievable fight. Fight of the year contender, if I'm totally honest. But he must win this one to get back on track. He derailed last time and he needs the victory here.
Speak to me about the new promoter, because Buatsi's switched to Queensbury. Why?
Well, I think if you look at Queensbury and you look at their stable and what they're doing at the moment, Frank Warren really is incredible. You know, where he's at right now in boxing, how he's positioned, the light heavyweights he's got in his stable as well. You just look at that and go, that's probably where Buatsi felt that he would get most opportunity. And at this stage of Buatsi's career, he's got to do what's right for him and him only. And he's chose Frank Warren. And, you know, you look at Queensbury and go, well, that's not a bad decision.
Yeah, but it's quite a tough first fight, isn't it? Why has Frank decided to put him in with Zack Parker?
Because he's at that stage of your career. Where do you go with him? They're like, you know, I think that they would have had those conversations. Buatsi would have said, I want to get straight back on the saddle. Don't give me any warm-up fights, you know, ticking over fights. He lost to Callum Smith in a grueling fight, a tough fight back in April. And you look at it and you go, he showed a lot of character there. He answered a lot of questions we didn't even know about Buatsi. You go, but now he wants to stay in that mix. And to stay in that mix, you've got to overcome someone like Zack Parker. It makes sense, actually, for both of these guys. Because for Zack Parker, he gets a victory over Buatsi. That catapults him into world level. And for Buatsi, a victory over Zack Parker puts him on the road to maybe a fight with Anthony Yarde, that long-awaited fight that we've had, seeing how Yarde gets on with Benavidez. But there's so many other options. Willie Hutchinson's here as well, and he said he's looking for the winner of this fight. Could that be a possibility? He's another big character in the light heavyweight division. Ben Whittaker's coming through as well. There's a whole host of names, so victory is a must.
Oliver, just we were talking about senior players, you know, and how much experience they have, and how they're driving some of the Premier League teams on. When whoever loses this fight, you know, from your experience, how difficult is it at that age to re-energise yourself and come back?
It's not impossible, but it's very difficult, and the reason being is, like I say, it's like, you know, what sort of appetite have you got to sort of rebuild, and that's literally what you're going to have to do here. And you've got to go through, you know, those fights and through those layers again and wait for that opportunity. Because like I said, there's a whole host of heavyweights, light heavyweights, not just in Britain but globally, that are waiting for that opportunity. So it's a case of win and must win for all of these guys at this stage of their careers, for sure.
Can Parker hurt Buatsi? Anthony Yarde's trainer recently said he doesn't believe Parker has got the power to trouble him. Is that fair, or are people underestimating Parker's pop at this higher weight?
I think that people are underestimating Parker's power. He's got 18 of his 26 victories have come inside the distance. That has to be respected. But what Joshua Buatsi showed us against a world-class puncher last time in Callum Smith is that he can take a shot and he can come through that and he can weather that storm. But, you know, Parker, yeah, he has to be respected because it's not like you're going in with a guy here who has a low knockout percentage. It's a very, very high. So, you know, when you've got a knockout percentage like that, it has to be respected.
A big fight on the undercard as well. Brad Ray against Lyndon Arthur for the European light heavyweight title. Is this a tougher fight to call in some senses than the main event?
Absolutely, 50-50 fight this one. Brad Ray's had an incredible career, an unbelievable run actually. If you look at, you know, his career, he lost down at middleweight to Tyler Denny in a 10-round fight. That was back in 2022. Disappeared for a little while, come back. He weighed over 200 pounds in his next fight and he's got himself back down to light heavyweight now. So he's gone from middleweight to light heavyweight and goes and picks up the European title last time out against Shakan Peters. And you looked at that and go, what a performance and what an incredible comeback. You know, well, you got to salute that for doing that. But Lyndon Arthur is that guy. He's had them 3 memorable fights with Anthony Yarde. He won the first one in lockdown. He's lost the last 2, but he's very much that guy. He beat Liam Cameron actually last time out, and you look at that and go, he will probably start the favourite here against the champion. But it's an interesting fight because again, there's a lot on the line here. European title gives you a top 10 ranking. Brad Ray and Lyndon Arthur, they'll be going right. They'll be looking for the winner, possibly, you know, of Joshua Buatsi. If you look at that fight and you go, you know, it sort of makes sense. But as I say, Willie Hutchinson's turned up here as well, and he wants a shot at the winner of the top of the bill as well. So it's an interesting one.
Look, we've got news in the last couple of hours or so that Manny Pacquiao has already said that he thinks that they've just about done the deal for a rematch with Floyd Mayweather Jr. I mean, that fight, when it eventually did happen, happened far too late in both of their careers. Manny Pacquiao is 47 now. Are you okay with this? What's your reaction to it?
Well, do you know what? I sort of get it. It's the guys that are sort of like, you know, Manny Pacquiao last time out against Barrios, he fought a draw for the world title, and you look at it and you go, well, you got to respect it. Yes, he's 47 years of age, but he's just fought a draw for the WBC world title. So you go, yep, he's still got a little bit left in the tank. And Floyd Mayweather, obviously, is arguably one of the best of this generation, maybe one of the best of all time. So there will be people that want to see that fight. So I'm not against it. I think it gives us a chance to see Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, 2 living legends in the ring. Why not? If they want to do that and it's some sort of exhibition, then yeah.
Well, it was 10 years since the fight of the century between the two. 47-48 roughly, depending on when the fight takes place. That's quite some age to be going back in the ring and slugging it out with these are proper world champion
I don't know
fighters.
about fight of the century. What about Ali and Fraser and all that?
Listen, guys.
Well, this century.
Hagler.
That was last century.
That was last century, was it? Oh, we got another 80 years to go, you know.
I don't even think it was the fight of the century. It was absolutely don't want it, Spencer.
Yeah, listen, I think what you got to respect with this is, guys, that like these 2 guys are going in at this stage of their careers, and like I say, you either like it or you hate it. But we got to accept that it's just an exhibition, and it's one of those things, and it gets a chance for people to see Mayweather and Pacquiao back in the ring again. But just as long as you know what it is, then you choose whether you want to see it or whether you don't want to see it. But you got to understand exactly what it is. It's not 2 guys in their prime; they're far off their prime, but we get a chance to see it again.
It's like when they remake a movie, innit? You don't have to watch it. You can always stick with the original. But if you decide to and you enjoy it, then good for you. Spence, back with you in just a second. This is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew. We're going to speak to Frank Warren in just a few moments. We'll get his view on the fallout from last weekend's fight between Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker, and Wardley getting the victory in that. And what's going to be next for him? We'll also talk about some of the others up and coming in the light heavyweight division as well. Ajit Kabayel and Ben Whittaker on the agenda in that conversation when we come back in the next few minutes.
boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
This is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface and Alan Pardew, and this Saturday Joshua Buatsi makes his Queensbury debut against Zack Parker, who's on a winning streak since losing in 2022. Watch this Saturday live on DAZN. Back to Manchester we go. Spencer Oliver is there, so is Frank Warren joining us as well. Hello, gents. Thank you very much for coming on the programme. Just a quick reflection from last weekend, if we can. Frank, first of all. Fabio Wardley, victorious last week. What's next? Lots of people talking about the possibility of stepping into the ring with Alexander Usyk.
Well, he's the one. The WBO has ordered that fight to take place, and we've got a short-term negotiation period. If we can't agree terms, then it'll go to purse bid. But after that magnificent fight last week, great performances from both the boxers, he's secured his place there to do it.
Yeah, Frank, I wanted to ask you a question about that, actually, because Fabio Wardley went in as a firm underdog going into that fight because it was the known against the unknown. We didn't know if Fabio really was that elite world-class level, and he proved that he was. I mean, he showed so much character there and come out a worthy winner. They talk about controversial stoppages, but for me, it was the right stoppage.
It was absolutely the right stoppage. And, you know, and I understand where some people were coming from with that, but that was spot on. There was it wasn't replying to Joe. And I spoke to Joe. I spoke to him after the fight. I spoke to his trainer. It was the same thing with him, Andy Lee, no complaints. Tyson Fury, one of his best mates, sitting there, said it was stopped. It was the correct stoppage, as did most of the people. You know, when you're not firing back and you're getting caught with a big puncher like that, it's better to be safe than sorry, that's for sure. And as you just said, he's cemented his position now for somebody who's never had one iota of amateur boxing experience to get to where he's got to, learning on the job, 21 fights, and shown. I mean, he beat the number 2 in the world. That's what he did, and it was just a magnificent performance.
We had Agent Caballero on the show yesterday, and he claimed that it would be too soon for Fabio Wardley to go in against Alexander Usyk off the back of the victory against Joseph Parker last weekend. Just have a listen to what he had to say.
You know, Fabio is very good. You know, we have a very, very hard punches, you know, but I think this fight is too early for him, you know. Alexander Usyk is a different level. You know me, this is really different level. He beats the best boxers, the best heavyweights in the division. But I think when Fabio is a really good sportsman, he gives Parker the rematch. I think the fans will see this, and this is the best fight what he can make right now, you know. But I think Usyk is too early for him.
What's your reaction to that, Frank? Is that just wanting to agitate for a fight against Usyk all of his own?
Probably, and I'll get where he's coming from. But you know what? Every single fight that Fabio's had, everybody said it's a level too far for him. And out of those 21 fights, 19 of them have been knocked out.
Yeah, Frank, you said it yourself there. You know, I think that Fabio Wardley's built a career on being the underdog. Everybody's saying too much too soon. You go back to when he boxed for the British title against the likes of Nathan Gorman, and he was a white-collar fighter, and where was he getting this opportunity? But he's built a career on proving people wrong. Now you go Alexander Usyk, the guy, and everyone's saying, oh, it's too much too soon for him. You know, he's not really... But that unpredictability of what he does, you go, he's beat the man that beat the man, so he deserves the opportunity, right?
Well, he does. I mean, you know, you think we did with Fraser Clark in the second fight. I mean, it's a sensational knockout. Hooney was behind with Hooney. But he's got, you know, there are levels and there's a leveller. And that leveller is his punch power. And if he catches you with it, you are in trouble. And he's a good finisher. You know, we talk about, people spoke earlier on in the interview, we talk about it being stopped too soon. The second round, if that gum shield, if his gum shield don't come out, it'd have been interesting to see where Joe Parker would have been, because he got caught with a big shot.
Let's talk a little bit about what's happening this weekend. The big fight live on talkSPORT. Buatsi, Parker, Zack Parker, the opponent for Joshua Buatsi. And after the defeat to Callum Smith, how important is it that he starts well and gets over the line here. You've signed him. What was your motivation for it?
Because we've signed up most of the best light heavyweights around, and we'd want to do it with the light heavyweight division what we've done with the heavyweight division. And this is a cracking fight. This is no foregone conclusion, I'm telling you. These two guys between them have lost a fight apiece. This is a fight that both of them need to win to set themselves up for a massive fight in 2026. On the 22nd of November, there's a massive fight in Riyadh where you've got Benavides going in with Anthony Yard. The winner of that has got to fight a decent name, got to fight a big fight. These guys are all queuing up. We've got 3 light heavyweight fights on this card. We've got other light heavyweights who we've got also signed, and we'll be announcing their fights in the next couple of weeks. So there are going to be some fabulous fights in this light heavyweight division. It will be like the heavyweight division, and that's what we're trying to do. Put the best in with the best, making even money matches. So going into the fight, you know, it's not a foregone conclusion, and invariably with these type of matchups, you're getting a great fight.
Yeah, the light heavyweight division is absolutely stacked. You look at the names that we've got just here in Britain and globally as well. And the fight that you mentioned that's going on November the 22nd, I know that you just signed Joshua Buatsi, who's a world-ranked heavyweight as well, and he had an unbelievable fight against Callum Smith. Showed a lot of character in that. But Frank, what I wanted to ask you was there a conversation between you and Buatsi where you go, because this is not a foregone conclusion. Zack Parker's a good fighter,
correct,
but there must have been a conversation with you and Joshua Buatsi to say, give me a real test next. I don't want no warm-ups.
That's exactly what he said. That's what he said, and that's what I like about it. And that's what I like about Zack. They're stepping up. No messing about, they're stepping up. A bit like, and it's the same what Anthony Yard has done. He stepped up. This is the 3rd time he stepped up for a world title fight. These guys are stepping up, and they're putting themselves on the line. They're putting their careers on the line. You know, they're saying, I think I'm the best, I'm ready for this, and I'll fight anyone. And we're making these fights happen.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be in the light heavyweight division. It looks like an exciting fight this weekend. Joshua Buatsi against Zack Parker is live on talkSPORT. Frank, I've got Alan Pardew in the studio with me today. Between the two of you, what are we saying about Arsenal? Good defence, obviously, but are they heavyweight or light heavyweight? Alan?
Well, I definitely looking at Arsenal.
Clear.
I would. You got to say that they're the favourites. I mean, I don't know how Frank's been to many games this year, but they certainly look a very, very strong outfit, and with the backup this year.
You excited, Frank?
Very, you know. Look, it's not. I hate this. This is a typical. This is what people say to me about boxing, which I sort of wince sometimes. So I'm going to do the football version. You know, you're never satisfied. I'd like to see him play more exciting football. But having said that, the defence is fabulous. Only let 3 goals in the Premiership. I mean, a fabulous defence. They really are on the money with that. And I think we're going to get together up front. You know, I think we scored 5 goals from open play. Most of them have been from dead ball situations. But we're winning games. We're winning, you know, and we are doing it. And we're, as I said, we're 4 points clear. And I think it's for ours to lose. I mean, what's happening with Liverpool at the moment? I don't know what's happened to them. They've really fallen over. Man City had a loss over the weekend. So we're the form team. We're doing the business, and. You know, I had a fabulous sporting weekend. We had a great fight on Saturday, and then on Sunday, Arsenal doing the business. You know, just keep it coming.
Yeah. Frank sounds like a promoter, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Just listen, Frank, just take the W's as they come. Just take the W's. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on the programme.
It's a W that counts.
That's it, mate. Cheers. That's Frank Warren, Spencer Oliver, bringing us the latest ahead of Buatsi against Parker, which is live on talkSPORT this weekend.
Spencer never stopped moving that whole interview.
He got very excited.
He's like, he's juggling, he's moving.
Got a little bit lost when we started talking about the football there, didn't he? He was a Tottenham fan. He didn't want to get involved in that debate,
trust
did he?
me, he's got opinions, Spencer, about Spurs. Don't worry about that. We've had him on now and again.
Have you?
Yeah, he's a good man.
Okay. Good
he
stuff.
knows his football.
He's a top man, is Spencer, and we're delighted to have him. He's part of our team this weekend as we bring you the Big Fight Live.